In the shadows of history lie stories that defy explanation, whispers of secrets long buried, enigmas that challenge everything we think we know. These are not tales of myth or fantasy, but real puzzles etched into the fabric of our past. Ancient skeletons with impossible anatomies, cryptic writings that refuse to be deciphered, and places sealed shut for centuries with no clear reason. What truths hide behind these silent mysteries? What forces shaped these inexplicable events? Across 3 hours, we will journey through the darkest corners of history, uncovering moments that have baffled scholars and stirred imaginations alike. From forgotten graves beneath city streets to sacred relics locked away by fear or superstition, each mystery carries with it a weight that demands answers. Yet the answers remain just out of reach, leaving us with more questions that pull at the edges of reality itself. So sit back, relax, and let's dive deeper into the mystery as we explore 3 hours of historical enigmas that continue to evade understanding, inviting you to witness the extraordinary unknown. Nestled within the quiet halls of a lesser-known Polish museum, amid relics that whisper of centuries past, sits one of the most peculiar and haunting displays in modern archaeological collections. A skeleton unlike any other. At first glance, the bones appear human, familiar in their structure, standing upright as if poised for life. Yet, where the skull should be, there is instead the unmistakable form of a bird's head, complete with a sharp beak and hollow eye sockets that seem to stare through time itself. The exhibit is both striking and unsettling, a silent testament to a mystery that refuses to yield its secrets. Visitors approach with a mixture of curiosity and disbelief, trying to reconcile the impossible fusion before them, a human body, fully articulated, paired with the skull of a large bird, seemingly a raven or crow. The skeleton is preserved meticulously, encased behind glass, with placards describing the known facts but failing to provide clear answers. According to museum records, the specimen was unearthed during an excavation near a small village in southern Poland in the late 20th century. Archaeologists had been investigating an old burial site believed to date back several centuries, a modest medieval graveyard that had yielded a number of skeletons in various states of preservation. Most finds were typical for the region and era: ordinary human remains, simple artifacts, evidence of everyday life and death in a bygone age. But this skeleton stood apart. It was found buried deeper than others, positioned with unusual care. Its posture suggested deliberate placement, as though the individual had been interred with a purpose beyond mere burial rites. More puzzling was the skull itself. When initially uncovered, the bone structure baffled scientists and anthropologists. Initial hypotheses proposed that it might be a bizarre case of cranial deformation, a practice known in some ancient cultures where skulls were intentionally shaped for symbolic or aesthetic reasons. Yet, the shape was unlike any known deformation technique. It was distinctly avian, complete with a long beak and thin cranial bones, features anatomically impossible for a human. Radiocarbon dating confirmed the skeleton's age. It was medieval, possibly dating back to the 14th or 15th century. But how did such a creature exist then? Was this an elaborate hoax, a product of imagination or trickery designed to fool or intrigue? Scientific analysis ruled out simple fabrication. The bones were genuine, authentic human bones for the body, and the skull itself was real bone, albeit clearly avian. Yet, no known species of bird could produce a skull of this size to match the body, raising questions about whether this was an unknown species or something else entirely. Local folklore offers intriguing, if vague, threads of explanation. Villagers in the area have passed down stories for generations about birdmen or shapeshifters, beings that could take on parts of animal forms or walk between human and animal worlds. Such legends, while dismissed by modern science as myth, add a layer of cultural context that cannot be entirely ignored. Could the skeleton be the remains of a person who, through ritual or belief, was symbolically merged with a bird? Was it a ceremonial artifact, perhaps meant to embody a shaman or spiritual figure, their earthly form forever bound to the avian? Some fringe theories speculate even further, suggesting the possibility of genetic anomalies or even unknown hybrids created through ancient practices lost to time. Could it be evidence of early experimentation in bioengineering long before the science existed? Or might it represent a yet undiscovered species, a link in the chain of evolution hidden beneath layers of history? Skeptics point to the limitations of the evidence, the absence of similar finds elsewhere, the lack of contemporary written records describing such creatures, and the natural human tendency to seek wonder in the unexplained. It remains a question whether the skeleton is a unique curiosity, an artifact of ritual, or a misunderstood natural anomaly. What is undeniable is the power of the image itself, the unsettling contrast between the familiar and the strange, the human and the avian. It challenges our notions of identity and nature, inviting us to question what it means to be human. How does this creature fit into the tapestry of history, if at all? And if this is indeed a singular phenomenon, what has happened to others like it? Were there more such beings, and have their stories been lost forever beneath the weight of centuries? The skeleton rests silently in its glass case, its hollow eye sockets gazing endlessly forward, a reminder that the past holds secrets still beyond our grasp. As science advances and new technologies emerge, perhaps someday we will unlock the truth behind this enigmatic figure. Until then, it stands as a haunting symbol of the mysteries that endure, waiting patiently for those willing to look deeper, to ask difficult questions, and to accept that some answers may remain just out of reach. What does this strange fusion tell us about the boundary between human and nature? And what other truths lie buried beneath the soil of forgotten graves, waiting for discovery? The story is far from over. The story of the skeleton with the bird skull lingers in the mind, a haunting glimpse into the unknown, a riddle carved in bone. From the eerie quiet of that Polish museum, our journey now shifts westward, to a damp, forgotten corner of 17th century England, where another enigma lies buried beneath layers of history. Here, hidden away in a modest village churchyard, archaeologists unearthed a coffin unlike any other, a wooden box reinforced not only with iron nails but encased within iron bars, locked tightly as if guarding something more than just human remains. The coffin itself is unassuming, weathered by time, its wood darkened by centuries of earth and rain. Yet, the iron bars, heavy and rusted, tell a different story, one of fear, caution, and perhaps even desperation. Why would anyone go to such lengths to imprison a body in death? The answer is elusive, wrapped in the complex social and religious anxieties of 17th century England, a time when superstition and fear of the supernatural were woven tightly into the fabric of everyday life. When the coffin was discovered in the late 20th century during routine restoration of the church grounds, its presence raised immediate questions. Such iron-barred coffins were rare but not unheard of, often associated with the practice of containing restless spirits or preventing the dead from rising. This was an era still haunted by plague, witch hunts, and folklore about revenants, beings who returned from the grave to torment the living. The iron bars, combined with heavy locks, were believed to trap the spirit, keeping the dead undisturbed and the living safe. Scientific examination of the remains inside revealed a man aged roughly in his 40s, his bones remarkably well preserved. No signs of violence or disease stood out, and yet the decision to secure him in such a manner remained a mystery. Was he accused of witchcraft? A victim of social paranoia? Or perhaps someone feared to be cursed? Parish records of the time offer little help. The identity of the man was lost, obscured by time and forgotten tales. Historians speculate that the coffin may have belonged to someone accused of vampirism, a common accusation in Europe during this period. In rural communities gripped by fear and superstition, those who died suddenly or under mysterious circumstances were often branded as undead threats. Iron bars and locks were measures taken not just out of respect for the dead, but out of terror for what might come after. Yet no concrete evidence supports this theory in this case. Could these measures have been precautionary, or were they rooted in something far deeper, something lost to the fog of history? Some suggest the coffin represents a physical manifestation of the era's struggle between emerging scientific rationalism and deep-seated superstition. It was a time when the Enlightenment was beginning to challenge old beliefs, but fear remained potent, and rituals persisted. Could the iron bars symbolize an attempt to bridge these worlds? A last safeguard against the unknown in a society caught between reason and myth? More speculative theories ponder whether the man himself was involved in practices considered heretical or occult, warranting his containment even after death. Others propose that the coffin was a form of social control, a message to the living about the consequences of deviance or betrayal. Yet, without documentation or clear records, these remain conjecture. The coffin also invites reflection on the broader human impulse to control death and the unknown. How do societies respond to what they cannot understand? How do fear and belief shape our treatment of the dead? The iron bars locking away a body speak to a profound anxiety, a need to keep certain truths hidden or contained. But what happens when such fears cloud the line between protection and imprisonment? As modern science continues to study such artifacts, new methods might someday reveal more. DNA analysis, forensic imaging, and even environmental sampling may shed light on the man's life and death. Until then, the iron-barred coffin remains a somber monument to a time when death was not just an end, but a potential beginning of untold horrors. What stories lie behind those rusted bars? What secrets did the villagers hope to bury along with the man himself? And what does this coffin tell us about the fragility of belief, the power of fear, and the mysteries that still linger beneath the soil of history? The answer is yet to be found, waiting patiently in the shadows, inviting us to look deeper, to question more, and to accept that some mysteries are meant to endure. Following the haunting discovery of the iron-barred coffin in England, our journey takes us westward to the rugged coastlines of Ireland, to a site far more recent but no less haunting, the mass grave beneath the grounds of the Tuam mother and baby home in County Galway. Here lies a tragedy etched into the fabric of modern history, a dark chapter that challenges us to reconcile the cruelty of the past with the silence that still surrounds it. The Tuam site, now largely overgrown and concealed beneath grass and stone, was once a home for unmarried mothers and their children, women cast aside by a society steeped in rigid morality and religious doctrine. From the 1920s to the 1960s, thousands of children were born here, many never to leave. The home, run by the Bon Secours sisters, was meant to provide refuge, yet the reality was far grimmer. In 2014, what was thought to be a forgotten cemetery was revealed as a mass grave, its existence uncovered through investigative journalism and forensic analysis. Excavations unearthed the skeletal remains of hundreds of infants and young children, buried in unmarked plots, their identities lost to time and neglect. The discovery sparked a national reckoning, raising profound questions about accountability, memory, and the value placed on innocent lives. The verified facts paint a grim picture: overcrowding, poor sanitation, Malnutrition and disease were rampant in the home. Many children died from preventable causes, their deaths recorded as mere statistics in official registers. The mass burial site speaks not only of the scale of loss, but of a silence imposed for decades. A silence broken only recently by the courage of those who demanded the truth. Yet, beneath these harrowing realities, deeper mysteries persist. What precisely happened within those walls remains partially obscured, the official records incomplete or missing. Some survivors and researchers suggest that deaths may have been deliberately concealed or that conditions were intentionally allowed to deteriorate. Were there darker forces at work, systemic abuse, neglect cloaked by institutional protection, or even attempts to erase inconvenient truths from history? Compounding the mystery are reports from former residents describing unexplained phenomena, echoes of crying children, shadowy figures glimpsed in the periphery, and an overwhelming sense of sorrow that seems to permeate the grounds. While these accounts cannot be scientifically verified, they add a layer of emotional complexity, as if the past still clings to the present in ways beyond mere memory. Scholars and advocates debate the meaning and implications of the site. Does the mass grave stand as a symbol of societal failure, a stark reminder of how vulnerable populations were marginalized? Or might it also represent a broader cultural trauma, a collective wound that continues to influence Ireland's identity and conscience? Speculation extends to the nature of the burial practices themselves. The unmarked mass grave, its exact dimensions and contents still partially unknown, suggests an attempt to hide or minimize the scale of loss. Could this have been motivated by shame, fear, or institutional pressure? Or was it simply a reflection of the era's attitudes toward these children, dehumanized and forgotten even in death? Modern technology offers some hope for clarity. Ongoing efforts to identify remains using DNA analysis, historical research, and forensic archaeology aim to restore names and stories to those buried. Yet, the sheer scale and fragmented records present formidable challenges. Each new discovery raises more questions. Who were these children? What were their lives like in those fleeting years? And what does it mean to remember them now? The Tuam tragedy compels us to confront uncomfortable truths about history, memory, and justice. It forces a reckoning with the past, demanding that silence be replaced by recognition, and that grief be met with understanding. Yet, it also invites us to ponder the unknown, the lost narratives that may never be recovered, the voices silenced before they could be heard, and the mysteries that still lie beneath the soil. As we stand at the threshold of this somber site, we are reminded that history is not only what is recorded, but also what is hidden. The shadows beneath Tuam call us to listen closely, to question deeply, and to accept that some answers may forever remain just beyond reach. What truths lie buried with those countless children, and how might uncovering them change the way we understand our shared past? The exploration continues. From the haunting echoes of the mass grave in Ireland, our journey now takes us to the quiet shadows of an ancient Italian church, where beneath cold stone floors and centuries of prayer lies a secret that has puzzled historians and scientists alike. The nameless mummy discovered in a crypt untouched by time. The church, nestled in a small town rich with history and tradition, seems ordinary at first glance. Its weathered facade and simple bell tower hold the quiet dignity of countless generations. But beneath the altar, through narrow stairways carved from the living rock, lies a hidden crypt, a chamber sealed for centuries, forgotten by many, yet silently preserving a mystery waiting to be uncovered. Within this dimly lit crypt rests the mummy, a remarkably well-preserved human body wrapped in faded linen, its features hauntingly intact despite the passage of centuries. Unlike many other mummified remains, This individual was not embalmed through deliberate human intervention. Instead, natural preservation has occurred, the result of a unique combination of environmental conditions, cool temperatures, low humidity, and mineral-rich air, that together have created an eerie time capsule. Radiocarbon dating places the mummy's origin somewhere in the late Middle Ages, yet its identity remains elusive. Church records from the era offer no clear correspondence to this burial, leaving scholars to wonder who this person was and why they were laid to rest in such a clandestine manner. The absence of any inscriptions, markers, or grave goods only deepens the enigma. Scientific analysis reveals more puzzles. The mummy's stomach contents suggest a diet unusual for the time and region, one rich in certain herbs and foods not commonly associated with local populations. Was this a clue to the individual's social status, health, or even occupation? Or perhaps an indication of ritual practices lost to history? Even more intriguing is the condition of the body itself. The skin, though shriveled, shows signs of a rare disease, which some experts speculate could be linked to a now extinct illness or a genetic anomaly. Others propose that the peculiar preservation might hint at chemical substances absorbed post-mortem, possibly related to early experimental embalming techniques or alchemical practices rumored to have taken place in the region. Local legends add a layer of mystique. Some whisper of a holy recluse, a hermit who lived a life of secrecy and piety, rumored to possess arcane knowledge and perhaps even mystical powers. Could this mummy be the remains of such a figure? Folklore tells of a guardian spirit watching over the church, and some believe this figure's presence still lingers in the crypt's shadows. More speculative theories drift into the realm of the unknown. Was this individual connected to secret societies or forbidden knowledge? Could the unusual preservation be evidence of ancient alchemical rites aiming at immortality? Or might it represent a transitional figure between medieval spirituality and early Renaissance scientific curiosity? Skeptics caution against reading too much into these theories, emphasizing the limitations of the evidence. The lack of written records and the natural conditions of preservation can explain many anomalies without resorting to speculation. Still, the absence of clear answers fuels the human desire to understand. What remains certain is that the mummy challenges our understanding of death, memory, and history. It sits at the crossroads of science and legend, fact and mystery. Each examination reveals new details but also deepens the questions. Who was this person? And what story do they carry in their silent remains? Why were they hidden away, seemingly forgotten by history, yet preserved so meticulously? The crypt holds its secrets tightly, and the mummy's gaze, though long closed, seems to invite us to look closer, to listen more intently. Beneath layers of dust and stone, beneath the centuries of silence, what truths lie waiting to be uncovered? And what might this solitary figure teach us about the lives once lived and the mysteries still concealed in the shadows of time? The exploration continues, as the past beckons us ever deeper into its enigmatic embrace. From the silent crypts of the Italian church where the nameless mummy rests, our journey leads us to an even stranger tale, one of a man whose story is written not only in life and death, but in the very earth beneath our feet. Known to history only by the oddity of his burial, this man was interred not once, but 5 separate times, each time in a different grave. His journey through death is a puzzle that defies simple explanation, inviting us to explore the tangled intersection of history, belief, and mystery. The records tell us his name, John Kowalski, a common name in his native Poland, but his life was anything but ordinary. Born in the late 17th century, John lived in a turbulent era marked by shifting borders, wars, and deep social upheaval. When he died, his passing was not immediately notable, an unremarkable end to an unremarkable life. Yet what followed his death would set him apart in ways few could have imagined. Jan's first burial was typical, a modest plot in a small village cemetery. But the calm of that resting place was short-lived. Soon after, local records indicate that his remains were exhumed and reburied in another location. This process repeated multiple times over several decades, with Jan's skeleton being moved and reinterred in at least 5 different graves, each with different circumstances and in different regions. Such an unusual history raises immediate questions. Why would a man be buried repeatedly? What compelled the caretakers, families, or officials to disturb his remains time and again? Official explanations range from the practical to the administrative. Some suggest that shifting political boundaries and changing ownership of land required exhumations. Others propose that John's family may have sought to relocate his remains closer to their new homes, or that church authorities moved graves to make way for construction or reorganization of burial grounds. Indeed, reburial was not unheard of in Europe, particularly during periods of war, plague, or urban development. Yet, the frequency and irregularity of John's 5 burials set his story apart. As researchers delved deeper, inconsistencies began to emerge. The dates of reburial sometimes overlapped with known historical events, wars, epidemics, religious upheavals, but there was no direct documentation linking these events to Jan's disinterments. Some burial sites were hastily prepared, while others bore signs of ritual care. Why the variance? Could this reflect changing attitudes toward Jan's remains, or was there something else at play? Here, the lines between historical fact and speculation begin to blur. Folklore passed down in some of the regions where John's remains were moved tells of a man believed to possess an otherworldly connection, a figure associated with curses and restless spirits. Tales emerged that John was a victim of suspicion, perhaps accused of witchcraft or dark dealings, charges not uncommon in his era. Some villagers claimed that his body was disturbed repeatedly to prevent him from rising from the dead, a practice rooted in deep-seated fears of revenants and undead beings. Others have pointed to medical curiosities as a possible explanation. Jan reportedly suffered from a condition that caused unusual bone growth and deformities, making his skeleton distinctive and easily recognizable during exhumation. Could this physical anomaly have contributed to myths about him, provoking both fear and fascination? And did his family or community treat his remains differently because of this, leading to repeated relocations? More speculative theories consider Jan as a symbolic figure caught between worlds. His multiple burials a reflection of unresolved tensions between old pagan beliefs, emerging Christian doctrines, and the local superstitions that coexisted uneasily. Was his body moved in attempts to appease restless spirits, or as part of rituals meant to protect the living from perceived dangers? The medical and forensic examinations carried out on Jan's remains provide intriguing clues, but also leave many questions open. For example, traces of unusual substances were found on some of the bones, substances used in folk remedies or burial rites meant to ward off evil. Is this evidence of care, fear, or something else? And what do the marks on the bones, some suggestive of trauma or post-mortem manipulation, tell us about his final years and the treatment of his body? Jan's story also reflects the cultural and social complexities of his time. Burial practices were deeply intertwined with community identity, religious belief, and social hierarchy. The fact that one man could experience such an unsettled passage through death suggests a life and a death that challenged these structures in profound ways. Yet, despite centuries of research, John Kowalski remains a figure shrouded in mystery. His multiple graves stand as silent witnesses to a past that refuses to be easily understood. Was he simply unlucky, a victim of circumstances beyond his control? Or was there a deeper story, one involving fear, reverence, or unresolved conflict, etched into the very bones that were moved so many times. As we reflect on John's unusual journey, we are reminded of the fragile boundary between life and death, the physical and the spiritual, the known and the unknowable. What does it mean for a body to be disturbed repeatedly? How do societies grapple with the dead when fear or fascination compels them to act outside of customary rites? Jan Kowalski's tale invites us to consider these questions deeply. His remains, scattered across time and place, hold secrets not yet unlocked, stories not fully told. And as we continue to explore the shadows of history, we must ask ourselves, what truths lie beneath the soil, waiting for us to uncover them? How many other lives have passed through similar journeys, their mysteries still buried in silence? The story of the man buried 5 times is far from complete. It lingers as an open question, an enigma that beckons the curious, the careful, and the contemplative to look closer, listen harder, and wonder what lies beyond the known. As we leave behind the restless journey of the man buried 5 times, our path leads us now to a chilling relic shrouded in darkness and silence. An ancient scroll, unlike any other, written not in ink but in blood, and concealed away for centuries. This artifact, kept hidden from the world's gaze, beckons us to peer into a mystery both tangible and unsettling, where history's shadows deepen and the lines between the known and the unknown blur. The scroll itself is fragile, its surface worn by time, the parchment yellowed and brittle. Carefully preserved within the vaults of a secluded monastery in Eastern Europe, it has remained out of public view for generations, its existence known only to a select few scholars and clerics. The air surrounding the artifact is thick with the weight of secrecy, and its discovery sparked immediate curiosity, tempered by unease. At first glance, the characters inscribed on the scroll resemble ancient scripts, familiar yet enigmatic. But upon closer examination, experts realized the ink was far from ordinary. Chemical analyses confirmed an extraordinary fact. The ink was, in fact, human blood. The implications are staggering. Who would create such a document? And why use blood, a substance so deeply symbolic and visceral, to record words meant to endure? The scroll's origins are dated roughly to the late Middle Ages, a period rife with religious fervor, superstition, and political intrigue. Some believe the document served as a secret treaty or codex designed to bind its readers through blood oath, a practice known to occur in various cultures as a solemn, unbreakable pledge. Others suggest it was part of a ritual, an invocation, a curse, or even a record of forbidden knowledge intended to be concealed at all costs. What can be definitively said is that the text defies straightforward translation. Linguists and cryptographers have spent decades attempting to decode the script, but it resists all conventional methods. The characters combine elements of Latin, early Slavic languages, and cryptic symbols that seem to shift meaning depending on context. This complexity hints at a deliberate attempt to obscure the scroll's message, transforming it into a puzzle or a lock that guards something far more valuable than words alone. Historians have linked the scroll to a secretive religious order, one rumored to have operated at the fringes of accepted doctrine. This order, said to guard ancient wisdom and hidden rites, allegedly employed blood rituals as part of their spiritual practices. The scroll could be their testament or warning, encoded in a language only initiates could decipher. Yet no direct records of the order survive, and the scroll remains the lone whisper of their existence. Moving beyond the scholarly, the scroll's aura has given rise to numerous legends. Some claim it holds the key to immortality or secret power, while others fear it might contain a dreadful curse. Stories circulated that anyone attempting to read it aloud would suffer misfortune or madness. While these accounts cannot be substantiated, They add a layer of psychological intrigue, reflecting the human tendency to mythologize what we cannot understand. Modern scientific investigations offer tantalizing glimpses but no answers. Advanced imaging techniques have revealed faint, underlying markings beneath the blood script, previous writings erased or hidden beneath layers of overwritten text. Could these be earlier messages, lost histories buried under ritualistic secrecy? What compelled the author to overwrite them with blood? Further confounding the mystery is the very substance of the ink. Forensic testing confirms it is human blood, but from whom it came remains unknown. DNA analysis has been inconclusive, possibly degraded by age or intentional treatment. Was it the blood of a single individual or a mixture? Was it extracted from a willing participant, a sacrificial victim, or symbolic donors? Each possibility carries vastly different implications. Speculative theories proliferate. Some suggest the scroll is a remnant of esoteric medical knowledge, where blood was believed to carry spiritual or healing properties, and writing in it was meant to empower the text. Others connect it to occult practices, where blood is the ultimate medium to bind magic or secrets. Could this be a coded ledger of forbidden alchemical recipes, a compendium of lost rituals, or a spiritual manifesto? Skeptics caution that the scroll's mysteries might be explainable by historical context. Blood as ink could be an extreme but symbolic act of devotion or secrecy, and the strange script a hybrid language developed to exclude outsiders. Still, the lack of definitive interpretation keeps the artifact enveloped in uncertainty. What remains undeniable is the profound impact the scroll has had on those who have encountered it. Scholars describe an almost palpable tension in the room when the scroll is unrolled, a sensation that transcends mere superstition. The document is not just an artifact, but a bridge to a hidden past, a fragment of human expression steeped in sacrifice and secrecy. As we carefully unroll the fragile parchment and trace the deep red script with our eyes, we are reminded that history often conceals as much as it reveals. This scroll, written in blood and hidden through the ages, embodies the eternal human quest to protect knowledge, sometimes at great cost, and the persistent allure of mysteries that refuse to be solved. What secrets lie encoded within those crimson lines? And what truths might we still be too blind or too afraid to uncover? The story of the blood-written scroll remains an open chapter, inviting us to linger in the shadowy space between knowledge and mystery, urging us to question what lies beneath the surface, waiting for a key that may never be found. The faded light of an overcast afternoon filters softly through the narrow windows of an ancient Italian monastery, casting long shadows across the worn stone floors and wooden pews. Deep within one of its lesser-known chambers lies an object shrouded in secrecy, untouched and veiled for centuries, a mirror, sealed behind heavy cloth and left undisturbed since the year 1570. Its presence is whispered among the monks, a relic so enigmatic that curiosity and caution coexist in equal measure. This mirror is unlike any ordinary-looking glass. Crafted with exquisite skill, its ornate frame is carved from dark wood, accented with intricate gilded details that hint at Renaissance artistry. Yet, despite its beauty, no one inside the monastery has gazed upon its reflection for over 4 centuries. The heavy drapes that cover it were fastened by order of a long-deceased abbot, and since that time the mirror has remained hidden, almost as if preserving a secret too potent to reveal. The story of the mirror is intertwined with the monastery's own complex history, a place once vibrant with scholarly pursuit, spiritual devotion, and mysterious rituals. Archival records from the 16th century mention a speculum obscurum, a dark mirror, acquired through a donation from a wealthy patron whose identity remains uncertain. What makes this mirror particularly compelling is that shortly after its arrival, Strange occurrences began to be recorded in the monastery's logs. Sudden chills, unexplained shadows, and whispers that seemed to echo without source. Whether coincidence or something more, these notes stopped abruptly, coinciding with the decision to cover the mirror indefinitely. Historical researchers have proposed various explanations. Some argue the mirror was merely damaged, cracked or tarnished in a way that rendered it useless or dangerous, and the cover was a practical measure. Others suggest it was a relic believed to possess spiritual or supernatural properties. Mirrors, after all, have long been objects laden with symbolism, portals to other worlds, tools for divination, or objects capable of revealing hidden truths. Scientific investigation into the mirror has been limited, constrained by the monastery's protective custodianship and reverence for tradition. A few attempts to examine it using non-invasive imaging hinted at something unusual beneath the glass, an irregularity in the reflective surface that defied conventional explanation. Some experts speculate that the mirror may have been treated with chemicals or substances long forgotten, perhaps designed to alter its reflective properties or preserve it in a manner lost to history. Local folklore adds another dimension. Tales speak of a mirror that reveals not one's own face, but the true nature of the soul, showing reflections that shift according to the viewer's hidden fears or desires. Some claim that the mirror trapped a malevolent spirit or bore a curse that affected those who looked upon it. Whether these are fanciful myths or rooted in genuine experiences is unclear, but they underscore the mirror's deep place in the collective imagination of the region. More speculative theories consider the mirror as a vessel of esoteric knowledge. Was it created by an alchemist or mystic, imbued with the power to reflect unseen dimensions? Could it have been used in secret ceremonies, its reflective surface serving as a gateway to visions or revelations? Or might it have been a deliberate concealment, a way to hide something far more dangerous, an encoded message or image visible only under certain conditions? Skeptics caution against overinterpreting these stories. They remind us that mirrors of the era often suffered degradation, and the fear surrounding reflective objects was common across cultures, leading to superstitions that magnified ordinary damage into legend. The absence of direct evidence makes it difficult to separate fact from fiction. Yet the mirror remains covered, its surface untouched and its secrets intact. For centuries, generations of monks have lived with its presence, respecting the abbot's decree and perhaps understanding that some mysteries are better left veiled. What lies beneath the heavy drapery? A cracked pane, a forgotten relic, or something far more enigmatic? As we stand before this silent guardian of history, we are reminded that not all mysteries are meant to be solved quickly or easily. Some require patience, reverence, and a willingness to accept that the past holds stories beyond our immediate grasp. What truths lie behind the shrouded glass? What reflections of history, belief, and human curiosity are waiting in the shadows, just out of sight? The mirror in the Italian monastery invites us to ponder these questions, lingering in the space between light and dark, known and unknown, an enduring enigma wrapped in silence and time. From the shadowed silence of the shrouded mirror in that secluded Italian monastery, we journey now to a place where water holds secrets far older and far more profound. A vast, natural sinkhole nestled deep within the dense jungle of the Yucatan Peninsula. Here lies one of the most enigmatic sites of the ancient Maya civilization, the sacred Cenote of Chichen Itza, a place steeped in history, ritual, and mystery. The cenote is no ordinary body of water. Its steep limestone walls plunge sharply downward into depths that remain difficult to measure with certainty. From above, it appears as a dark, tranquil pool, its surface glassy and undisturbed, framed by thick greenery. Yet beneath this serene facade lies a chilling tableau that has captivated archaeologists and historians alike for centuries. The sacred cenote was long ago known to the Maya as a gateway to the underworld, a conduit between the realms of the living and the gods. It was here, according to the archaeological record and the accounts of early explorers, that sacrificial offerings were made. Human lives, precious artifacts, and symbols of devotion cast into the depths in the hopes of appeasing deities, securing rain, fertility, and favor. Excavations conducted during the early 20th century revealed astonishing findings. Divers and archaeologists recovered a vast array of objects: jade jewelry, gold trinkets, pottery shards, and weapons, all carefully deposited. More hauntingly, human skeletal remains were found scattered among the offerings. Radiocarbon dating and forensic analyses suggest these were sacrificial victims, men, women, and children whose deaths were part of a complex ritual practice. Yet questions linger. Was the sacred cenote solely a place of ritual sacrifice, or does its story run deeper? Some researchers propose that the site also witnessed episodes of mass death, not merely as offerings to the gods, but as tragic events tied to political power, conquest, or even natural disasters. Could some of the remains belong to captives or victims of conflict, their bodies consigned to the water as part punishment, part ritual? The exact nature and frequency of the sacrifices remain subjects of debate. Written accounts from the Spanish conquistadors and indigenous sources offer glimpses, but are filtered through layers of cultural misunderstanding and bias. How much of what we accept as fact is colored by colonial narratives and the limited perspective of outsiders encountering a civilization vastly different from their own? Geological and environmental studies add further complexity. The cenote itself is a natural sinkhole formed when the limestone bedrock collapsed, exposing the groundwater beneath. This water was vital for the Maya, who depended on cenotes as sources of fresh water in a landscape without rivers or lakes. How did this dual function, a sacred site for sacrifice and a critical resource for survival, shape the cultural significance of the cenote? Speculative theories extend beyond traditional archaeology. Some suggest the cenote held astronomical significance, aligned with celestial events such as solstices or equinoxes, linking the sacrifices to cosmic cycles and the Maya calendar. Others hypothesize that the water itself, believed to be sacred, was thought to carry prayers and offerings directly to the gods below, making the act of sacrifice a literal submission to the divine. In recent decades, advanced underwater explorations have uncovered even more startling evidence: well-preserved artifacts and bones resting in sediment layers previously inaccessible. These findings challenge earlier assumptions and invite new questions. What other secrets lie buried beneath the murky waters? Could there be undiscovered chambers or tunnels connecting the cenote to a larger subterranean network, echoing ancient myths of the underworld? More fringe theories, though lacking empirical support, capture the imagination. Some propose that the cenote was a site of contact with otherworldly beings or dimensions, a portal between realities where sacrifices were made to entities beyond human understanding. While such ideas remain speculative, they underscore the powerful hold this site has on human curiosity and the enduring mystery it represents. What is clear is that the sacred cenote of Chichen Itza embodies a profound paradox. It is both a source of life and a receptacle of death, a place of reverence and fear, a natural wonder imbued with layers of cultural, spiritual, and historical significance. Its waters have witnessed the convergence of human devotion, political intrigue, and perhaps tragedy. As we contemplate the stillness of the cenote's surface, we are drawn to consider the lives of those whose fates were sealed beneath its depths. What stories remain untold? What truths linger, hidden in the silence of the water and the sediment of centuries? And as modern explorers continue to probe this ancient site, what new revelations await, ready to reshape our understanding of a civilization whose mysteries are far from fully unveiled. The sacred Cenote invites us to look beyond the surface, to dive into the depths of history, belief, and mystery, and to accept that some enigmas resist final answers, instead offering an enduring challenge to our quest for knowledge. The cool, hushed corridors of the Vatican, home to centuries of art, faith, and power, hold countless treasures and secrets behind their ancient walls. Yet amid the open galleries and vaulted chambers that welcome millions of visitors every year, there exists a single wall that has eluded curiosity and scrutiny. A secret partition within the apostolic palace itself, a wall no one is permitted to open. Its presence is known, whispered in scholarly circles and rumored in hushed tones, but what lies beyond remains firmly closed, an enigma as impenetrable as the centuries that guard it. This wall is not marked by plaques or warnings. It blends seamlessly with the surrounding architecture, its surface unassuming but resolute. Unlike the richly adorned frescoes and golden relics that fill the Vatican's visible spaces, this barrier is shrouded in quiet restraint. Historical records hint at its existence, mentions in archival documents, coded references in letters between cardinals, and subtle architectural anomalies noticed by experts. Yet no clear explanation emerges. It is a part of the Vatican that officially does not exist for the general public and remains off-limits even to most within the Church. The origins of the secret wall are as murky as its purpose. Some scholars believe it was constructed during the late Renaissance, a period marked by both spiritual revival and political intrigue within the Church. Others suggest it dates back even further, possibly to the medieval era when the Vatican's role as a seat of power was fiercely contested by kings, emperors, and rival factions. Why build a wall so secretive, so impervious to investigation? What was the need to conceal what lies beyond? Speculation abounds. Some propose the wall encloses a hidden chamber, a vault of forgotten documents or relics too dangerous or sacred to be exposed. Could it be a repository of banned texts, heretical manuscripts, or evidence of ecclesiastical scandals long buried? The Church has, throughout history, guarded its secrets closely, exercising both discretion and discretion to protect doctrine and authority. A secret chamber would fit this pattern, but no verified access or inspection has ever been allowed. Others suggest the wall might conceal physical spaces, perhaps a forgotten crypt, an ancient chapel, or even tunnels that connect to the broader labyrinth beneath the Vatican. The Vatican is known for its underground necropolises and hidden passages, many of which remain only partially explored. Could this wall be a gateway, sealed for reasons lost to time? Intriguingly, some researchers point to peculiar architectural features near the wall. Unexplained shifts in the thickness of the adjacent walls, irregular masonry, and faint inscriptions visible only under infrared scanning hint at layers of history concealed beneath the surface. Could these be clues, or merely remnants of structural renovations? The absence of transparent records fuels further questions rather than answers. Theories extend into more speculative realms. Folklore and conspiracy theories intertwine with the documented history of the Vatican, creating a tapestry of mystery. Some claim the wall guards evidence related to the infamous Vatican Secret Archives, a vast collection of documents so restricted that even their full contents remain unknown to outsiders. Could the secret wall be an extension or a hidden annex to these archives? If so, what truths might be sealed within? Proof of contact with otherworldly beings, lost prophecies, or suppressed revelations? More fringe ideas venture further. Some whisper of arcane rituals conducted in secret chambers behind the wall, places where esoteric knowledge and forbidden rites were preserved away from prying eyes. Others imagine that it hides an ancient relic of immense power, concealed not only to protect the faithful, but also to prevent its misuse. While these notions are largely speculative, they speak to the human fascination with hidden knowledge and the potent symbolism of secrecy. Despite the intrigue, historians and Vatican officials caution against unfounded claims. The Church maintains that the wall is simply a structural feature, a practical partition created during renovations with no greater significance. Yet the refusal to allow independent investigation or disclosure continues to fuel suspicion and wonder. As we stand before the notion of this secret wall, we confront the paradox of history itself, how some truths remain obscured, not necessarily by nefarious intent, but through the natural accumulation of time, secrecy, and silence. The Vatican, as a living institution, is layered with stories, both illuminated and shadowed. This wall is a reminder that even in a place so thoroughly studied and visited, there remain spaces uncharted, histories untold. What might lie just beyond that silent barrier? What stories, relics, or truths await in a room never entered, a vault never opened? And as centuries pass, how many other walls like this, hidden, closed, and unexplored, lurk within the folds of our shared history? The secret wall of the Vatican is not merely an architectural curiosity, but a symbol of mystery itself, a quiet challenge to our desire for certainty and a testament to the enduring enigma that history can be. From the shadowed sanctity of the Vatican's secret wall, our journey now leads us north to the ancient fortress looming on the banks of the River Thames, the Tower of London. A place where power, intrigue, and history have long intertwined, the tower is renowned for its imposing walls, regal history, and the countless tales of imprisonment and betrayal that echo within its stones. Yet, amid its labyrinthine corridors and battlements, there exists a mystery locked away for centuries, a sealed room that has remained unopened since the year 1472. This room is hidden within the fortress's depths, a chamber inaccessible to the public and even to many within the tower's own staff. The entrance is concealed behind layers of thick stone walls, secured by a heavy oak door reinforced with iron bands, itself locked with mechanisms long rusted by time. The date of its closure is etched faintly in historical records, yet no account clearly explains the room's purpose or the reason for its prolonged sealing. What compelled the tower's custodians to close this door and never to open it again? The Tower of London, built by William the Conqueror in the late 11th century, has served many roles: royal palace, prison, armory, treasury, and execution site. Over the centuries, rooms and corridors were repurposed, altered, and sometimes abandoned. This particular sealed chamber, however, stands apart. Surrounded by legends yet anchored in documented history, it invites questions about what secrets have been deliberately hidden away. Historical sources from the late 15th century mention a vault of silence within the tower, a space where certain prisoners were held in solitary confinement or where sensitive documents were stored away from prying eyes. Yet the sealed room's exact function remains elusive. Was it a prison cell for a figure too dangerous or infamous to be seen? A treasury vault safeguarding treasures or artifacts whose value transcended mere gold and jewels? Or perhaps a chapel or burial site sealed due to fear, superstition, or political necessity? The year 1472 itself is significant, a turbulent period during England's Wars of the Roses, marked by shifting loyalties, conspiracies, and brutal power struggles between rival houses. Could the sealing of the room relate to a specific event or person caught in this web of conflict? Some historians suggest that the room might have been locked to contain evidence or prisoners related to these struggles, intentionally concealed to protect the reigning monarch's reputation or to prevent rebellion. Architectural examinations reveal unusual features surrounding the sealed room. The thickness of the walls, the complexity of the locking mechanisms, and the absence of windows point to a design meant to isolate or secure. Infrared and ground-penetrating radar scans detect anomalies behind the walls, but the content remains a mystery. These findings hint at the room's importance, yet physical access is denied, preserving the enigma. Speculation extends into more enigmatic realms. Some propose the room might hold relics of supernatural significance, objects believed to possess curses or otherworldly powers, hidden away to prevent harm. Others imagine the space as a vault for alchemical experiments or forbidden texts, remnants of a time when secret knowledge was a matter of life and death. Local folklore intertwines with the historical narrative, telling tales of ghostly whispers heard near the sealed door, unexplained chills, and shadows that move against the light. Could these stories be the echoes of past sufferings, or are they the human mind's way of grappling with the unknown? Despite the tower's prominence as a tourist site, the sealed room's story remains largely untold, overshadowed by more famous chambers like the White Tower or the Bloody Tower. Its silence is deliberate, its secrets kept close by centuries of custodianship and discretion. Its silence is deliberate, its secrets kept close by centuries of custodianship and discretion. What does the sealed room truly conceal? A relic of political intrigue, a prison of a forgotten soul, or something altogether different? And as time wears on, how many other rooms or spaces in the tower hold histories waiting to be rediscovered? The sealed room in the Tower of London reminds us that history is often layered with concealment and revelation, that what is hidden can be as telling as what is revealed. It invites us to wonder about the stories locked behind closed doors and the truths that remain suspended, waiting for the moment when they might once again see the light of day. Beneath the bustling streets of London, hidden deep beneath one of the city's most iconic landmarks, lies a secret that has puzzled historians and archaeologists alike. A collection of ancient human bones discovered beneath London Bridge. This unexpected find, unearthed during modern construction and excavation efforts, has raised profound questions about who these individuals were, how they came to rest there, and what their presence reveals about London's distant past. London Bridge, spanning the River Thames, is more than a simple crossing. It is a site layered with centuries of history. Since Roman times, this spot has been a vital artery for trade, travel, and communication, witnessing the rise and fall of empires, kingdoms, and civilizations. The modern bridge stands as a testament to human ingenuity and progress, but below its foundations lie echoes of lives long forgotten. The discovery of bones beneath London Bridge emerged during a series of archaeological digs initiated to make way for infrastructure projects. What initially appeared to be scattered skeletal remains soon revealed itself as a more extensive burial site. Radiocarbon dating placed many of these bones in the medieval period, roughly between the 11th and 15th centuries, though some evidence hinted at even older origins. The remains included men, women, and children, their bones bearing the marks of age, disease, and sometimes trauma. What strikes archaeologists is not just the number of skeletons, but their arrangement and condition. Unlike formal cemeteries with orderly graves, these bones appeared disorganized, layered haphazardly, suggesting they were discarded or relocated. Why would so many individuals be buried beneath a bridge in a manner that defies traditional burial customs? Was this a mass grave for victims of plague or famine, a dumping ground for the marginalized dead, or a more sinister site tied to executions and violence? Historical records from medieval London provide some context but leave much unexplained. The city suffered from recurrent outbreaks of disease, including the devastating Black Death of the 14th century, which claimed thousands of lives. The need for rapid disposal of bodies often overwhelmed traditional cemeteries, leading to mass burials in unorthodox locations. Could these bones represent such a grim response to crisis? Alternatively, some historians suggest the bones might belong to prisoners or criminals executed near the bridge, their bodies disposed of with little ceremony. London Bridge was not only a commercial hub, but also a site associated with law and order, sometimes harsh and unforgiving. Yet there is little direct documentation to confirm this theory. Adding another layer to the mystery are anomalies in the skeletal remains themselves. Some bones display signs of unusual deformities or injuries inconsistent with common medieval causes of death. Certain skulls exhibit fractures that might indicate violent encounters or ritualistic treatment. Moreover, the diversity in burial practices seen in nearby sites contrasts with the apparent neglect here, raising questions about social or religious factors that might have dictated such treatment. Geological studies of the area also complicate the picture. The Thames River has shifted its course over centuries, flooding and reshaping the land around the bridge. These environmental changes might have disturbed earlier burial sites, displacing bones and mixing remains from different eras. Could the bridge's foundation simply cover a palimpsest of history, layers of death and life overlapping in one place? Speculative theories go further still. Some suggest the bones might be connected to secret societies or cults whose activities were deliberately obscured by history. Could this be a hidden ritual site, or a place where forbidden practices once took place? Others wonder if these remains could be evidence of early pandemics or catastrophes not fully recorded in surviving documents. While forensic analysis has provided some clues, indications of diet, health, and origin, the full story of the bones beneath London Bridge remains elusive. Each fragment challenges researchers to piece together a narrative from silence and shadow, inviting questions that may never be conclusively answered. What does it mean to uncover such remains in the heart of a thriving modern city? How do these bones connect us to the countless lives that shaped, suffered, and transformed London through the centuries? And as the city continues to grow and change, how many more stories lie hidden, waiting beneath the streets and stones? The bones beneath London Bridge stand as a poignant reminder of history's layers, visible and invisible, known and unknown. Their silent testimony calls us to listen carefully, to respect the mysteries beneath our feet, and to wonder what else remains buried just out of sight. From the layered history beneath London Bridge, we turn now to the quiet streets of Manchester, where an extraordinary discovery has ignited a profound mystery. A deformed skeleton unlike any other unearthed in modern archaeology. Found in an unassuming graveyard, this skeleton's peculiar features have puzzled experts, raising a fundamental question. Was this an individual fully human, or could this be evidence of something far more unusual, a hybrid of unknown origin? The discovery was made during routine excavations at a historic Manchester burial ground, where workers uncovered skeletal remains that immediately stood out due to their striking abnormalities. The skeleton, though largely intact, displayed a combination of traits that diverged sharply from typical human anatomy. Its skull was elongated, with bone structures that suggested an unusual shape and density. The limbs were disproportionately long, while the rib cage and pelvis exhibited unexpected asymmetries and deformities. To the trained eye, this was no ordinary find. Initial investigations focused on the possibility of congenital deformities. Conditions such as cranial hyperostosis or genetic disorders like fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, which can alter bone structure. Medical experts have documented numerous cases throughout history of individuals with skeletal anomalies, often misinterpreted in folklore and legend. Could this skeleton simply represent such a rare medical condition, misunderstood and misclassified? Yet, what sets this case apart is the combination and extent of the abnormalities. The skull's shape, in particular, defies easy explanation. While elongated skulls are documented in some ancient cultures due to intentional cranial deformation practiced for social or spiritual reasons, the bone density and structural makeup of this skull do not align with known cultural practices. Furthermore, DNA analysis has yielded inconclusive results, neither fully matching modern human genetics nor indicating contamination or error. Speculation inevitably arises. Some have posited the possibility of an ancient hybrid, perhaps a merging of human and another unknown species, an idea that has long captivated imaginations but has little grounding in mainstream science. Could this skeleton represent a previously unknown branch of human evolution, or an archaic species interbreeding with Homo sapiens? Others look to folklore and myth for clues. The British Isles have a rich history of legends involving otherworldly beings, fae, giants, and shapeshifters, entities that sometimes blur the line between human and something beyond. Is it possible that this skeleton was a person whose unusual appearance was interpreted in these mythic terms, their story lost to time? Further complexity comes from the archaeological context. The gravesite showed no signs of ritual burial or extraordinary treatment. The skeleton lay in a simple, unadorned pit, suggesting the individual was treated as an ordinary member of the community. Does this imply acceptance despite physical differences, or might it conceal deeper social dynamics about outsiders or those considered different? Modern technology, including CT scanning and isotopic analysis, continues to shed light on the remains, yet each answer seems to open new questions. How did this individual live? What was their health and lifestyle? And crucially, how does this skeleton fit into the broader narrative of human history in the region? The deformed skeleton of Manchester forces us to reconsider assumptions about identity, normality, and the vast diversity within the human family. Was this a medical anomaly, a cultural curiosity, or evidence of something unknown? Perhaps a biological bridge between species long vanished. As science presses forward, the mystery endures. Beneath the surface of bones and soil, a story remains untold. One that invites us to ponder the complexity of our past and the many secrets still buried in the earth beneath our feet. Emerging from the rich tapestry of medieval Europe, our next mystery takes us to the quiet, rolling hills of Slovenia, where a humble 15th century church harbors an image unlike any other from its time. Hidden on a faded fresco within its ancient stone walls lies a figure whose form challenges centuries of artistic tradition, a figure some describe as alien-like. This enigmatic painting raises questions not only about medieval art and symbolism, but also about the possibilities of unexplained encounters far beyond the known history of the era. The church itself is a modest structure, nestled in a rural village that has seen few changes over the centuries. Its walls are adorned with religious frescoes typical of the late Middle Ages, saints, biblical scenes, and symbolic motifs intended to inspire devotion and instruct the faithful. But among these traditional images, one figure stands out with an uncanny presence. Painted with unusual proportions, the figure possesses a large, oval-shaped head, wide, dark eyes, and a slender, elongated body. The colors are muted by time, yet the shape and expression remain startlingly vivid. At first glance, art historians attribute the image to a local interpretation of a saint or angel, its odd features possibly a result of artistic style or the degradation of pigments over centuries. The medieval period was rich with symbolism and allegory. Figures were often exaggerated or stylized to convey spiritual truths rather than literal appearances. Could this be a representation of a divine messenger, depicted in a manner unique to regional artistic traditions? Yet, the figure's alien-like qualities persist as a source of fascination and speculation. Unlike other depictions of celestial beings from the period, This one lacks wings or typical iconographic markers. Its eyes are disproportionately large and dark, lacking pupils, and its form seems more humanoid yet distinctly otherworldly. Such characteristics have led some to propose more unconventional explanations. One intriguing theory suggests that the fresco might depict an encounter with an extraterrestrial being or a visionary experience inspired by something beyond earthly realms. While this notion remains outside mainstream academic discourse, it echoes a broader human fascination with possible contact between humans and unknown intelligences throughout history. Could this image be a medieval record of such an encounter, preserved cryptically within sacred art? Alternatively, some scholars propose that the figure might symbolize a deeply spiritual or psychological state, representing themes of enlightenment, transformation, or even warning. Medieval art frequently employed abstract forms to express complex theological ideas or mystical experiences. The ambiguity of the figure might be intentional, inviting contemplation rather than straightforward interpretation. Scientific analysis of the fresco's pigments and style confirms its 15th century origins, consistent with the church's documented construction and decoration timeline. Yet, questions remain about the artist's influences. Were they drawing from local oral traditions, distant travelers' tales, or perhaps apocryphal texts that described beings unlike any commonly known? How did such an image come to be painted in a devout Christian setting, where orthodoxy often shaped artistic expression? Folklore from the surrounding region adds another layer to the mystery. Tales of strange visitors from the sky, inexplicable lights, and other phenomena have been passed down through generations. Could these stories be reflections or echoes of an event that inspired the fresco's unusual figure? Or might they be later projections, attempts by communities to explain an image they could not fully understand? The condition of the fresco itself adds complexity. Over time, parts of the painting have faded, been retouched, or damaged, making it difficult to determine which features are original and which may have altered perceptions. Restoration efforts continue to uncover details, but also raise debates about preserving authenticity versus revealing obscured elements. In the context of medieval Europe's worldview, the appearance of such a figure challenges assumptions about cultural isolation and the limits of imagination. It invites us to consider how art functions as both documentation and myth-making, bridging the seen and unseen worlds. Was the artist merely experimenting with form, or capturing something witnessed beyond ordinary experience? This alien-like figure in a 15th century Slovenian church remains a puzzle poised between faith and mystery, history and speculation. It beckons us to peer beyond the surface of stone and pigment, to question what realities may have brushed against human consciousness in times long past. As we continue our exploration of history's unexplained, this image stands as a silent testament to the mysteries that endure, reminding us that even within the walls of sacred spaces, there are stories waiting to be uncovered, enigmas that defy easy explanation and invite wonder at the vast unknown. The towering silhouette of Notre-Dame Cathedral has long stood as an emblem of Paris, a monument to faith, artistry, and resilience. Its spires have pierced the Parisian sky for centuries, its gargoyles guarding its secrets, its halls echoing with the prayers of millions. Yet, beneath the grandeur and reverence lies a story marked by upheaval and loss. One of sacred statues vanished amid the turmoil of the French Revolution. The late 18th century was a time of radical change in France. The Revolution, with its fervent push to overthrow the Ancien Regime, also sought to dismantle the symbols of the old order, including the church. Notre-Dame, once a centerpiece of religious and royal power, became a battleground of ideology. Many statues, once revered as embodiments of saints and biblical figures, were seized, defaced or destroyed in the wave of secularization that swept through Paris. Historical records document the removal of numerous religious statues during this period. Some were melted down for their metal, others were vandalized beyond recognition. What remains uncertain is the fate of many statues that simply disappeared, lost to time, hidden, or stolen. These missing relics have fueled curiosity and speculation for over 2 centuries. The mystery deepens when considering the meticulous records maintained by the cathedral's custodians and the revolutionary committees. Despite detailed inventories, gaps appear, lists of statues that vanished without trace. Were these statues secretly hidden away to protect them from destruction? Or were they illicitly sold or traded in the chaos, their provenance lost in the shadows of revolution? Scholars have pieced together fragments of this story from archival documents, eyewitness accounts, and fragments of statues recovered in unexpected places. Some statues resurfaced in private collections, while others were rumored to have been buried or concealed within the cathedral's walls or crypts. Could the cathedral itself be a cryptic repository of these lost treasures, concealed beneath centuries of stone and dust? There are whispers of secret caches and underground chambers, though no conclusive archaeological evidence has yet been uncovered. Might these legends hold a grain of truth? Could the statues have been deliberately hidden by loyalists determined to preserve the sacred art in the face of irreverence and destruction? The iconography of the missing statues adds another layer to the enigma. Many represented figures of local saints, obscure biblical characters, or symbolic motifs that were uniquely tied to Parisian spiritual life. The loss of these statues is not only a loss of art, but a fracturing of cultural memory, a silent erasure of stories once vividly told through stone and sculpture. Some researchers speculate that the missing statues might also represent a political statement, removed deliberately for their perceived associations with monarchy or clerical power. Could their disappearance have been an act of historical revisionism, an attempt to reshape the narrative of faith and power in revolutionary France? Meanwhile, the physical remnants of Notre-Dame, scarred by time and tragedy, including the devastating fire of 2019, serve as a poignant reminder of impermanence. The cathedral continues to be a site of restoration and discovery, raising hopes that some of these lost statues might yet be found, or their stories pieced together. What does the absence of these statues mean for our understanding of history? How do we interpret loss on such a scale, not just of physical objects, but of identity, belief, and heritage? And in the silence left by their disappearance, what secrets might still be waiting to emerge from the depths of Notre-Dame's storied past? The mystery of the lost religious statues of Notre-Dame remains an open chapter, inviting us to look deeper into the intersections of history, faith, and revolution, and to ponder what other treasures and truths remain hidden just beneath the surface. The fog rolls gently over the narrow streets of Salem, Massachusetts, a town forever etched into history by the chilling events of 1692. The Salem witch trials stand as one of the most haunting chapters of early American history, marked by fear, suspicion, and the tragic downfall of many innocent lives. Among the dozens accused, imprisoned, and executed, there exists a figure whose story veers sharply away from the grim fate that befell so many. A witch who vanished without a trace, leaving behind questions that still linger in the shadows centuries later. Her name appears in the trial records, a woman accused of witchcraft, named in fearful whispers and official documents alike. Yet unlike others, she was never captured, never tried, and most curiously, never seen again. While many faced public trials and dire consequences, this woman simply disappeared from the historical record, as if swallowed by the very darkness she was accused of summoning. The details are sparse but striking. Contemporary court documents refer to her accusation and the panic that surrounded her, but there are no accounts of her arrest or imprisonment. Letters and diaries from the period mention her name in fearful tones, yet no eyewitness testimony confirms her capture or fate. This absence has baffled historians, who find themselves grappling with a silence that speaks volumes. Was she a master of escape, slipping through the cracks of a terrified community? Or was her disappearance something more enigmatic, an abrupt vanishing that defies the logic of even the most desperate flight? Some posit that she fled into the wilderness, seeking refuge in the dense forests that skirted colonial settlements, possibly aided by sympathizers or hidden networks. Others wonder if her disappearance was orchestrated by authorities who wished to avoid the spectacle of another trial, or by townsfolk who feared the consequences of her supposed powers. Yet the mystery deepens when exploring the social and cultural context of the time. The witch trials were fueled not only by superstition, but by complex dynamics of power, gender, and community tension. Could this woman's disappearance represent a symbolic refusal to submit to these forces? Was she perhaps a figure who transcended the boundaries imposed by her accusers, slipping beyond the reach of the law and history alike? Speculation extends into the realm of folklore and myth. Local legends whisper of a woman who vanished into the night, her spirit said to roam the forests around Salem, a guardian or a curse depending on the teller. Some believe she possessed knowledge or abilities that allowed her to transcend physical limitations, a concept echoing ancient beliefs in shape-shifting or spirit flight. Could these stories have roots in real events, distorted and magnified through generations? Modern forensic and archival research has yet to uncover any definitive trace, no remains, no records beyond the initial accusation. The absence of physical evidence contrasts sharply with the detailed documentation of other accused witches, making this disappearance all the more perplexing. It forces historians to confront the limits of their sources and the ways in which history itself can be lost, erased, or hidden by fear and time. This woman's story challenges the narrative of the Salem trials, introducing a note of ambiguity into a history often told in stark black and white. Was she a victim, a survivor, or something else entirely? And what does her vanishing act reveal about the fears and hopes of a society teetering on the edge of reason and hysteria? As we peer into the misty past of Salem, this unresolved enigma invites us to question how much of history is shaped by what is recorded, and how much slips away, leaving behind only shadows and speculation. In the silence where her fate should be, we find a mystery that continues to haunt, reminding us that even in the most scrutinized moments of our past, some truths remain elusive, waiting for discovery or destined to remain forever unknown. Nestled deep within the ancient stone walls of a Bavarian castle, shadowed by the dense forests that have long cloaked southern Germany, lies an artifact that has puzzled historians and cryptographers alike. A cryptic book dating back to the turbulent years of the Nazi era. This enigmatic volume, discovered during a late 20th century renovation, has defied conventional understanding. Its contents shrouded in mystery, its purpose and origin still hotly debated. The castle itself, an imposing fortress that once served as a summer retreat for high-ranking officials, had remained largely untouched for decades following the Second World War. Its corridors are lined with echoes of a dark past, steeped in secrecy and power struggles. It was during routine restoration work that the book was unearthed in a concealed chamber behind a false wall, a discovery that immediately drew the attention of experts from across Europe. Bound in cracked leather and bearing no title or author's name, the book's pages are filled with cryptic symbols, obscure diagrams, and handwritten text in a language that resists easy classification. The script is a mix of archaic German and a cipher that has yet to be fully decoded. Its illustrations hint at a complex fusion of occult symbology, advanced scientific concepts, and mystical philosophies, elements that echo both Nazi fascination with esoteric knowledge and the broader European occult revival of the early 20th century. Initial analyses confirmed the book's age and origin consistent with the 1930s and 1940s. Yet, beyond its material authenticity, the meaning behind its pages remains elusive. Scholars versed in German history and cryptography have painstakingly attempted to unravel its code, but so far, no definitive interpretation has emerged. The writing appears deliberately obfuscated, raising questions about the true intent behind the book's creation. Was it a personal diary, a coded manifesto, or a manual for some secret project? The Nazi regime's documented interest in occult practices and pseudo-scientific experimentation offers one lens through which to view this enigma. The Third Reich's leadership is known to have sought artifacts and knowledge that might grant them supernatural advantage, whether through the recovery of ancient relics or the pursuit of hidden wisdom in alchemical and mystical traditions. Could this book represent an extension of those efforts? A compendium of forbidden knowledge assembled by clandestine groups operating within the shadows of Nazi power? Yet, alternative perspectives caution against simplistic conclusions. Some historians argue that the book might have been a work of elaborate deception or misdirection, perhaps created to mislead rival factions or foreign intelligence agencies. The complexity of the code and the eclectic mix of symbolism might be an intentional labyrinth designed to confound decipherment. In this view, the book is less a manual of power and more a puzzle crafted for unknown purposes. Further adding to the intrigue are the whispered rumors surrounding the castle's wartime role. Local legends tell of secret meetings held in hidden chambers, of unexplained experiments and confiscated artifacts brought from distant lands. Is it possible that the book was part of a larger network of esoteric documents, fragments of a broader arcane knowledge hoarded by those within the regime? Or is it a singular anomaly, an obscure relic of personal obsession? Some cryptographers speculate that the book may incorporate elements of multiple ciphers and coded languages, combining linguistic puzzles with symbolic representations drawn from mythology, alchemy, and early science. This layering adds to the challenge of understanding the text, suggesting a sophisticated mind behind its creation, someone both learned and secretive. The discovery has sparked numerous expeditions of thought. Could the book contain hints of undisclosed wartime technology, or philosophical ideas that challenged contemporary understanding? Might it reveal insights into the ideological undercurrents that drove some of the regime's darkest ambitions? Or is it a meditation on themes far removed from politics, questions of human existence, destiny, and the metaphysical? Despite decades of scrutiny, the book remains largely closed to the world, its secrets guarded by cryptic script and shadowed past. Modern technology, including digital imaging and artificial intelligence-assisted decoding efforts, continues to probe its pages, yet the enigma endures. Each new theory adds layers to the mystery, inviting both skepticism and wonder. As we examine this artifact, we are reminded of the many ways history holds on to its secrets, not only in grand events but in quiet corners and forgotten tomes. This cryptic book from a Bavarian castle, born in an era marked by ambition and darkness, challenges us to look beyond the surface and consider what knowledge might remain hidden, what truths have yet to be uncovered beneath layers of cipher and time, what might still lie unread within those ancient pages, what visions, warnings, or revelations remain locked in the shadows. The book's mystery endures, a silent witness to a past that continues to haunt, perplex, and inspire curiosity in equal measure. The heavy wooden gate stands resolute, weathered by centuries of rain, sun, and the passage of countless footsteps. Thick iron bands crisscross its surface, secured with ancient locks and chains that speak of an unyielding purpose. Here, in the heart of a forgotten royal estate, lies a portal sealed by decree, a gate that has remained closed for over 5 centuries. This is no ordinary closure. It was a royal order, a command from a time when monarchs ruled with both divine right and earthly power, and when secrets were locked away as carefully as treasures. The story begins in the late 15th century, an era of shifting alliances, political intrigue, and growing anxieties about what lay beyond the known world. According to the archival records of the kingdom, the monarch at the time issued a solemn proclamation. A certain gate, situated on the outskirts of the royal grounds, was to be sealed indefinitely. The reasons stated in official documents were vague. Words like danger, unholy presence, and protection of the realm were carefully chosen but deliberately ambiguous. The gate itself was constructed centuries earlier, part of a fortified wall surrounding a section of the estate that once housed something, or someone, deemed too dangerous or too sacred to be disturbed. For generations, rumors circulated among the castle's servants and local villagers. Some spoke of an ancient relic hidden beyond the gate. Others whispered of a long-forgotten chamber where forbidden rites were performed. Yet, no one was permitted to approach, and the gate's keys vanished from all known records. Historical researchers have tried to piece together the truth behind this royal command. Some suggest the gate enclosed a site of religious significance, perhaps a chapel or shrine linked to esoteric practices disapproved of by the church or crown. Others believe it might have guarded an early prison or vault, containing prisoners or treasures whose very existence challenged the political or spiritual order. Further adding to the mystery is the fact that the gate's immediate surroundings show signs of deliberate neglect. The walls on either side bear scorch marks and inscriptions that no modern expert has fully deciphered. The ground in front of the gate has remained untrodden, covered in moss and wild growth, as if nature itself was reclaiming a boundary humanity dared not cross. Over the centuries, countless attempts to uncover the gate's secret have ended in frustration. Early explorers and archaeologists found only dead ends, locked chambers behind the gate with no obvious way in, passages that abruptly stopped, or artifacts too damaged or undecipherable to reveal clear answers. Even modern technology, ground-penetrating radar, spectral imaging, has produced puzzling, sometimes contradictory results, hinting at hollow spaces but revealing no conclusive evidence of what lies beyond. Speculation, naturally, has flourished. Some fringe theories propose that the gate seals a portal to another dimension, a place where ancient beings or forbidden knowledge reside. Others suggest a curse was placed upon the area, a mystical safeguard preventing anyone from crossing the threshold. Such ideas, while captivating, remain unproven and live primarily in the realm of legend and folklore. More grounded hypotheses consider political motives, that the gate might have concealed evidence of a scandalous secret, illicit heirs, treasonous plots, or artifacts stolen from rival kingdoms. In a period marked by intense power struggles, closing off such a place could serve to erase inconvenient truths, rewriting history through silence and stone. The local oral traditions also add color to the narrative. Stories passed down through generations speak of ghostly lights flickering behind the gate on moonless nights, and strange sounds echoing through the surrounding forest. Whether these are embellishments born of imagination or reflections of real phenomena is unknown, but they contribute to the gate's aura of mystery, keeping alive the sense of something beyond rational explanation. This royal order to seal the gate invites us to ponder the nature of secrecy itself, how societies choose what to hide, what to protect, and what to forget. It challenges our understanding of history as a fixed record, reminding us that some chapters are deliberately left unwritten, some doors permanently closed. As centuries pass, the gate remains an enigma, a silent sentinel guarding its secrets through time. What lies behind it? A treasure, a truth too dangerous to reveal, or merely a forgotten space whose meaning has faded with memory? The answers elude us still, tucked away beneath layers of history and speculation. In contemplating this enduring mystery, we are reminded that the past is not always a place we can easily enter. Sometimes it locks us out, inviting us only to wonder what remains hidden in the shadows, just beyond the reach of our knowledge. Beneath the dense canopy of an ancient forest, nestled near the ruins of a medieval village long surrendered to time, lies a well. Its stone walls worn smooth by centuries of rain and moss, its depths cloaked in shadow and silence. This well, once a vital source of water for the community, was sealed abruptly, its entrance bricked over and hidden from view. For generations, locals regarded it as nothing more than a relic of a forgotten age, until a chance excavation revealed a secret that has since puzzled historians and archaeologists alike: a medieval skeleton lying undisturbed at the very bottom of the sealed well. The discovery was as startling as it was mysterious. Archaeologists conducting routine groundwork near the village site were initially intrigued by the well's unusual masonry, an unusual style suggesting repairs or alterations long after its initial construction. When they carefully removed the centuries-old bricks sealing its mouth, the dark void below revealed a skeleton positioned with eerie stillness. The bones were remarkably well preserved, arranged in a manner that suggested neither hasty disposal nor a typical burial. Historical records of the village are sparse, but the well itself was believed to have been sealed sometime in the 14th or 15th century, during a period of turmoil marked by famine, disease, and conflict. Local legends hint at a plague outbreak and whispers of a curse laid upon the village by an unknown force, but nothing concrete was documented. Could this skeleton be a casualty of those dark times, cast into the well in an attempt to contain a sickness or as punishment for some grave offense? Scientific analysis revealed the skeleton belonged to an adult, likely male, whose bones bore signs of both healing fractures and possible violent injury. This raises further questions. Was this individual a victim of accident or attack? Why was the body not given a traditional burial? The placement deep within the well, far from consecrated ground, defies common medieval burial customs, suggesting extraordinary circumstances. Speculation naturally follows. One theory suggests the man was deliberately concealed in the well, perhaps to hide evidence of foul play or to protect the living from a feared contagion. In medieval Europe, wells and water sources were sometimes associated with supernatural fears. Poisoning a well was a feared tactic in warfare and witchcraft accusations. Was this body an attempt at retribution or a grim sacrifice to stave off disaster? Others propose more ritualistic explanations. Some have suggested that the well might have been regarded as a portal or boundary between worlds, earthly and spiritual, and that the skeleton represents a burial intended to seal or appease forces beyond human understanding. Such ideas, while speculative, resonate with known medieval practices of protective magic and superstition woven deeply into daily life. The well's sealing itself remains a point of intrigue. Historical documents show no formal record of this act, and its sudden closure suggests urgency or secrecy. Was it to prevent access to the water due to contamination, or to hide the presence of the skeleton below? Or could it have been a symbolic gesture, a way to lock away a troubling past? Modern technology offers limited insight. Radiocarbon dating confirms the time frame, while forensic examination hints at lifestyle and possible causes of injury, but the full story eludes us. There are no accompanying artifacts, no clothing remnants, personal effects, or inscriptions to offer clues about identity or fate. This medieval skeleton, lying in quiet repose at the bottom of a sealed well, thus becomes a silent witness to a past obscured by time, fear, and perhaps deliberate erasure. It invites us to question not only the circumstances of this individual's death, but also the societal fears and beliefs that led to such a burial. What stories were hidden away with this man, and how many others have been lost to history's dark corners? As we peer into this mystery, we confront the limits of our knowledge and the deep human urge to both uncover and conceal. The well, once a source of life, became a tomb sealed by hands seeking to bury secrets as much as bodies. What truths might still lie beneath the surface, waiting to be revealed, or forever locked away? Beneath the layers of earth in a royal burial site, an ancient necropolis dating back several millennia, archaeologists uncovered an artifact that continues to confound experts and stir profound questions about identity, symbolism, and belief. The object is a stone carving, roughly life-sized, depicting a woman with distinct, unusual features. Prominently, 2 curved horns rising from her head. This striking image challenges conventional understandings of royal iconography and the cultural narratives of the era in which it was created. The carving's discovery was made during a carefully excavated campaign within a sprawling burial complex, believed to belong to a once powerful dynasty. The site itself was a treasure trove of artifacts, ceramics, jewelry, weapons, and inscriptions that have shed light on the civilization's artistic and social sophistication. Yet this particular sculpture stands apart, not only for its craftsmanship, but for the mystery embedded in its form. Carved from a single block of limestone, the figure's posture is regal yet enigmatic. She wears ornate robes and jewelry indicative of high status, her gaze calm but inscrutable. The horns, however, have no immediate precedent in known depictions of royalty from the period or region. Were these horns symbolic, representing divinity or supernatural power? Or could they be literal, an artistic portrayal of a person or entity considered extraordinary or otherworldly? Scholars have debated the meaning of the horns extensively. In many ancient cultures, horned figures often represented deities, fertility goddesses, or guardians. Yet to find such imagery in a royal tomb, associated presumably with a human ruler or noble, raises questions. Was this woman deified in death, elevated to a divine status? Or was the carving an emblem meant to convey specific, protective, or mystical attributes? The cultural context offers tantalizing clues, but no definitive answers. Some researchers suggest the horns might connect to shamanistic practices prevalent in certain Bronze Age societies, where leaders or priestesses assumed animal traits as part of ritual symbolism. Could this carving be the likeness of such a figure, a queen or high priestess who held a role bridging the human and spiritual worlds? Alternatively, some theories propose that the horns represent a misunderstood or lost tradition, perhaps an ethnic or religious minority whose symbols were absorbed or erased by dominant cultures. Might this figure hint at a hidden chapter of history, one where alternate beliefs or practices coexisted or conflicted with established royal ideologies? Physical examination of the carving reveals traces of pigments, suggesting the figure was once vividly painted, possibly enhancing the horn's visual impact. This detail points to the importance of color and symbolism that has long faded from view, challenging our modern perceptions of ancient monochrome sculptures. Equally compelling is the absence of any accompanying inscription explaining the figure's identity or significance. Unlike other tomb artifacts, no written record clarifies who she was or what the horns signify. This silence invites speculation, but also underscores the limits of our knowledge. Some fringe interpretations venture further, suggesting extraterrestrial influence or mythic beings inspired by the figure's unusual appearance. While such ideas captivate the imagination, they remain speculative, lacking corroborative evidence and often conflicting with archaeological context. More grounded perspectives emphasize the carving's role as a cultural artifact, one that speaks to complex social structures, religious beliefs, and artistic expressions now lost to time. It prompts reflection on how ancient societies understood power, identity, and the sacred. Did the horns symbolize a transformation, a connection to nature or the divine, or a marker of exceptional status? The carving also raises broader questions about how history is recorded and remembered. What stories have been omitted or obscured? How do symbols evolve? And what do they reveal about the societies that created them? And what might this horned woman's presence in a royal tomb tell us about the intersection of myth and reality in the ancient world? As we study this remarkable artifact, we are drawn into a silent dialogue across millennia, confronting both the mystery of the past and the gaps in our understanding. The stone figure remains a powerful enigma, a testament to human creativity, belief, and the enduring allure of the unknown. What truths might still lie hidden in the shadows of that burial site? How many other stories await discovery, challenging what we think we know about our ancestors? This carving stands as a reminder that history is often layered, fragmented, and waiting patiently for those who seek to unravel its deepest secrets. From the solemn quiet of centuries-old stone walls, churches often stand as guardians of history, repositories not only of faith but of art, culture, and stories that transcend time. Yet, amid the enduring sanctity of these sacred spaces, some tales remain marked by loss and mystery. One such enigma centers on a church painting of profound significance, lost forever, or so it seems, in the chaos of World War I. Our story takes us to a small European town, scarred by the relentless bombardments that reshaped the continent. The church at its heart was renowned for its collection of religious art, including a large, haunting mural that adorned its sanctuary wall. This painting was unlike any other, rich in symbolism, exquisite in detail, and steeped in centuries of local legend. It depicted a figure both serene and unsettling, surrounded by ethereal shapes and subtle hints of otherworldly presence. Before the war, the mural was a quiet marvel, drawing pilgrims and art lovers alike. Descriptions from pre-war visitors speak of its haunting gaze, a mysterious luminescence that seemed to shift with the light, almost as if the image were alive. The artwork was credited to an anonymous master, its origins lost in the mists of time, adding layers to its mystique. Then came the war. The church suffered extensive damage during a fierce bombing campaign. What remained of the structure was fragile, but tragically, the mural was believed to have been destroyed, its surface shattered or reduced to rubble beneath collapsed walls. Official reports from the period note the loss, yet amid the devastation, questions lingered. Was the painting truly lost, or merely concealed beneath layers of debris, waiting to be rediscovered? Efforts to locate remnants of the artwork have yielded fragments, bits of plaster and pigment matching historical records, but no clear recovery. The chaotic nature of wartime destruction often leads to irretrievable loss, yet the story of this mural is tinged with whispers that defy simple explanation. Some locals recall tales of the mural's peculiar influence, strange occurrences reported in the church before the bombing, flickering lights, whispered voices, and an uncanny feeling of presence. Could the painting have been more than mere decoration? Was it a conduit for spiritual or supernatural forces, its destruction a catalyst for unsettled energies? Art historians suggest the mural may have incorporated rare pigments or techniques, contributing to its elusive qualities. Scientific analyses of recovered fragments hint at materials that do not fully correspond with known medieval or Renaissance palettes. Could the artist have possessed knowledge lost to history or used symbolic methods intended to invoke deeper meaning or protection? Speculation extends further. Some propose that the mural held encoded messages, cryptic symbols, or secret maps embedded in the artwork, intelligible only to initiates or scholars, long vanished. Might it have been a visual key to hidden knowledge or a spiritual revelation, obscured by time and war? Others venture into realms of legend, linking the mural to local myths of guardianship and curses. Was the church's fate intertwined with the painting's presence? Did its loss signal a rupture in protective traditions, leaving the town vulnerable to conflict and sorrow? In the absence of definitive evidence, the mural's story continues to captivate. The tantalizing possibility of its survival beneath the rubble invites ongoing exploration and excavation, while the intangible aura surrounding it challenges us to consider the power of art beyond the visible. This painting, lost in the violence of a world engulfed by war, stands as a symbol of the fragility of cultural memory and the enduring human desire to preserve beauty and mystery. What stories did it tell? What secrets might its colors and shapes have held? And what echoes of those secrets still resonate within the ruins? As we gaze upon the empty wall where the mural once shimmered, we are reminded that history is not only a record of facts, but also a canvas of absence and longing. Spaces where mysteries endure, inviting us to search, to imagine, and to wonder what truths remain hidden beneath layers of time, dust, and silence. Beneath the bustling streets of Prague, where centuries of history intertwine with modern life, an unexpected discovery emerged during routine roadwork. Blackened human bones, unearthed from deep within the earth, unsettling in both appearance and origin. This grim find, discovered in the heart of a city famed for its rich past and layered mysteries, offers a glimpse into a shadowed chapter of history that continues to baffle archaeologists, historians, and forensic experts alike. The excavation site was unassuming, just another stretch of pavement due for repair. But as heavy machinery broke the surface, workers uncovered skeletal remains that immediately raised questions. The bones, unlike typical archaeological finds, were charred, their darkened surfaces hinting at exposure to intense heat or fire. The discovery prompted immediate involvement from specialists who sought to uncover the story behind these enigmatic remains. Initial analyses confirmed that the bones were human, dating back several centuries. Yet how and why these individuals met such a fiery end beneath the city streets remains elusive. Prague's history is marked by episodes of war, plague, and upheaval, each leaving their scars beneath the city's foundations. Could these bones be victims of one such calamity, burned and buried hastily in times of crisis? One prevailing theory suggests that the remains belong to plague victims from the 17th century, when Europe was ravaged by waves of disease and desperation. During these dark times, mass graves were often hastily dug, and bodies sometimes burned to halt the spread of infection. Yet the unusual location and the state of the bones challenge this explanation. Why were they so close to the surface and beneath a major thoroughfare, rather than in a known cemetery or plague pit? Other researchers consider the possibility of ritualistic or punitive burning. In medieval and early modern Europe, burning was sometimes employed as a form of punishment or purification, particularly for those accused of witchcraft or heresy. Could these charred remains belong to individuals caught in such brutal practices, their final resting place deliberately concealed beneath the city? Adding to the mystery, forensic examinations revealed inconsistencies in the positioning and distribution of the bones. Some appeared to be arranged in ways that might suggest intentional placement rather than random deposition. Was this the work of ritual, or simply a consequence of hasty burial practices during chaotic times? Further complicating the picture is the presence of artifacts nearby. Small objects whose purpose and origin remain unclear. Could these have been offerings, tokens, or items belonging to the deceased? Or might they hint at a forgotten cultural practice, long lost in Prague's labyrinthine history? Speculation extends beyond historical tragedy into more speculative realms. Some have posited connections to secret societies or clandestine events hidden from official records. Were these bones part of an underground narrative, one deliberately obscured by time and politics? Equally intriguing is the way this discovery resonates with Prague's own identity as a city of alchemy, mysticism, and legend. Known for its occult heritage and mysterious symbols etched in stone and story, the city's underworld, both literal and figurative, has long invited speculation. Could these blackened bones be a physical remnant of this esoteric past? Despite modern technology and scientific rigor, many questions remain. What precisely caused the burning? Who were these people? And why were they buried where they were, under the very roads that now carry the city's daily life? As investigators continue to piece together the fragments of this puzzle, the blackened bones serve as a silent testament to the complex and often shadowed history beneath Prague's streets. They remind us that beneath every city lies a multitude of stories, some told, many forgotten, and others still waiting in the dark to be uncovered. What secrets do these charred remains hold? How much of Prague's past remains buried beneath layers of earth and time, hidden from view yet impossible to forget? The answers may lie somewhere in the spaces between fact and mystery, inviting us to look deeper and question what history truly preserves. Beneath the shifting tides of history, some events ripple through time as enduring enigmas, stories where fact and legend intertwine, leaving us to ponder what truly transpired. Among these stands one of the most captivating and perplexing mysteries of medieval warfare: the disappearance of the Mongol invasion fleet in Japan during the late 13th century. A saga of ambition, nature's fury, and unanswered questions that continues to fascinate historians, scholars, and curious minds alike. In the year 1274, the mighty Mongol Empire, under the command of Kublai Khan, sought to expand its dominion by launching a massive naval assault against the islands of Japan. This was no ordinary campaign. It was a monumental endeavor involving hundreds of ships and tens of thousands of warriors, a formidable force poised to alter the course of East Asian history. The fleet set sail from the Korean peninsula, carrying an armada equipped with the era's most advanced military technology. The Mongol warriors, battle-hardened and disciplined, appeared nearly unstoppable. Yet their invasion was abruptly halted, and in the years that followed, a second, even larger invasion fleet met a similarly mysterious fate. Both attempts ended in failure, but it is the circumstances surrounding the fleet's disappearance that have captured imaginations for centuries. Contemporary Japanese chronicles tell of a devastating storm that ravaged the Mongol ships, a divine wind, or kamikaze, believed to have been sent by the gods to protect Japan. Many ships were destroyed, and countless lives were lost at sea. Yet, the details of these accounts leave room for interpretation. What exactly happened to the fleets? Were the ships simply wrecked by weather, or is there more to the story? Archaeological investigations along the coastal waters of Kyushu have uncovered fragments of Mongol-era vessels, cannonballs, and weapons, lending credence to the historical narrative. But many questions persist. How could such a vast fleet vanish so completely, leaving few survivors and scant records beyond the Japanese perspective? Some historians suggest logistical failures, poor weather forecasting, and lack of experience navigating these treacherous waters contributed heavily to the Mongols' downfall. Others emphasize the resilience and strategy of the Japanese defenders, whose samurai warriors and coastal fortifications played a decisive role. Yet, some aspects defy straightforward explanation. The scale of loss and the sudden disappearance of the fleets hint at forces beyond mere military defeat. Were there underlying factors, hidden battles at sea, unrecorded naval engagements, or even sabotage within the Mongol ranks? More speculative theories arise from the unexplained gaps in the historical record. Could supernatural forces, as chronicled in local legend, have influenced the outcome? Might there have been unknown alliances or internal conflicts that undermined the campaign? Some even entertain the possibility of secret technologies or tactics lost to time that shaped the encounter's outcome. The story also invites reflection on the immense power of nature and its role in human affairs. The kamikaze is remembered as a pivotal moment when environment and belief converged, yet the exact meteorological phenomena remain debated by scientists and historians alike. Was it a typhoon, a series of storms, or something more unusual? The Mongol invasions of Japan not only altered the geopolitical landscape, but left an indelible mark on cultural memory, an intersection of history, myth, and mystery. The fleet's disappearance stands as a reminder of the fragile interplay between human ambition and forces beyond control. What lies beneath the waves where these ships met their fate? How much of this story remains submerged in the depths of ocean and time? As we trace the currents of this ancient maritime disaster, we are invited to consider the enduring mysteries of history, those moments where the known meets the unknowable, and where the sea keeps its secrets close, waiting for those willing to seek them out. Beneath the quiet soil of a centuries-old burial ground in Germany, an extraordinary discovery emerged, one that would puzzle historians, archaeologists, and art experts for decades to come. In the grave of a noblewoman, unearthed with reverence and care, lay not only her skeletal remains, but also a collection of strange miniature statues. These small, intricately crafted figures defy easy explanation, their presence raising questions about identity, belief, and the mysteries hidden within the rituals of the past. The noblewoman herself was a figure of status and influence, her lineage well documented in the annals of regional history. Yet, it is the objects found with her that have drawn the most attention. The statues, no larger than a few inches each, depict a variety of enigmatic forms, some human, others bearing hybrid features that blend animal and human traits. Their craftsmanship is meticulous, carved from materials ranging from stone to bone, and their style does not neatly fit into any recognized artistic tradition of the period. What purpose did these miniature statues serve? Were they tokens of protection, symbols of status, or part of a personal ritual unknown to us today? The grave's context provides clues but no definitive answers. In medieval Europe, it was not uncommon for graves to include personal effects, jewelry, coins, religious icons, intended to accompany the deceased into the afterlife. Yet these statues stand apart, peculiar both in form and number, hinting at a narrative beyond typical funerary customs. Historical records mention the noblewoman as a devout Christian, embedded within the socio-political fabric of her time. Yet the statue's iconography introduces elements that seem at odds with orthodox religious symbolism. Some figures exhibit horns, elongated limbs, or abstract facial features that evoke the mysterious and the arcane. Could these be remnants of pre-Christian beliefs or localized folklore interwoven with her faith? Or perhaps they signify a secret practice, a personal devotion hidden beneath public piety? The mystery deepens when considering the craftsmanship and origin of the statues. Scientific analysis shows the materials were sourced from different regions, suggesting a deliberate collection rather than local production. Did these figures represent a curated set of talismans gathered over a lifetime? Were they gifts, heirlooms, or symbols of alliances with distant lands and peoples? Archaeologists also note the arrangement of the statues within the grave. Positioned carefully around the noblewoman's remains, their placement might hold ritual significance, perhaps intended to guard, guide, or communicate with the spiritual realm. This invites speculation about the beliefs surrounding death and the afterlife held by this noblewoman and her community. How much do we truly understand about the personal spiritual lives of historical figures, often filtered through official narratives and surviving texts? Some scholars propose the statues could be linked to esoteric traditions or secret societies that thrived on the fringes of medieval Europe. The symbolism seen in the figures aligns with motifs found in alchemical manuscripts, occult diagrams, and mystical art, suggesting a hidden layer of meaning that escaped mainstream attention. Were these objects tokens of initiation, keys to forbidden knowledge, or perhaps protective charms against unseen forces? Others look to folklore and myth for insight. European traditions are rich with tales of shapeshifters, forest spirits, and otherworldly guardians. Could these statues be physical embodiments of such stories, crafted as conduits between the earthly and the supernatural? The boundary between history and myth blurs in the shadows of these artifacts, leaving us to wonder what truths might have inspired their creation. Despite modern technology and rigorous study, the statues continue to resist full understanding. Their origins, purpose, and symbolism remain elusive. A tantalizing puzzle framed by the life of a noblewoman who lived centuries ago but whose story is only partially told. The grave and its strange contents challenge us to reconsider assumptions about medieval spirituality, art, and identity. What does it mean to find such enigmatic objects beside a single individual? Are these statues fragments of a forgotten belief system, personal to the noblewoman, or reflections of broader cultural undercurrents now lost? How many other mysteries like this lie buried beneath the surface of recorded history, waiting to be uncovered? As we peer into the past through the lens of this remarkable discovery, we are reminded that history is never a fixed narrative, but a living dialogue between fact and mystery. The strange miniature statues in that German grave stand silent yet compelling, inviting us to explore the hidden layers of human experience and to wonder what stories remain untold beneath the soil of time. Beneath the centuries-old vaults of the Ottoman Imperial Library, among countless scrolls and maps that chart the empire's vast dominions, there exists a single artifact shrouded in secrecy, a map so enigmatic that it has been referred to in hushed tones as the Forbidden Map of the Ottoman Empire. This extraordinary relic, unlike any other cartographic record from the era, hints at geographical knowledge and territorial claims that have never been fully explained or acknowledged by historians. The map itself, faded and delicate, measures roughly 3 feet by 2. Its intricate details reveal coastlines and cities known to Ottoman cartographers, yet it also depicts strange, unfamiliar lands beyond the empire's recognized borders. These areas are marked with cryptic symbols and annotations written in an arcane script, indecipherable to many who have studied the map over the centuries. Its origins are murky. While believed to have been created in the late 16th century, no clear record exists detailing who drew it, why it was made, or why it was subsequently hidden away from view. What makes this map particularly fascinating is not just the mystery of its creator, but the very nature of its content. Unlike other Ottoman maps that meticulously charted known territories for military and administrative use, this one seems to suggest the empire had knowledge, perhaps even ambitions, reaching far beyond the historical limits of its influence. Could this have been a secret projection of Ottoman power? Or was it a compilation of intelligence gathered through unknown channels? Scholars have long debated the significance of the unfamiliar lands depicted. Some argue that these areas may represent lost or forgotten territories, islands, or trading posts, regions where Ottoman explorers or agents might have ventured but which never made it into mainstream historical narratives. Others believe the map could be a form of coded knowledge, designed to conceal sensitive geopolitical information from rival powers of the time. The arcane script itself adds another layer of enigma. Attempts to decode it have produced mixed results. Some experts suggest it could be a cipher or a hybrid of Ottoman Turkish and other regional languages, perhaps deliberately obscured to limit understanding to a select few. What secrets might these annotations reveal if fully translated? Are they merely place names, or do they hint at alliances, resources, or hidden dangers? Historical context deepens the mystery. The late 16th century was a period of intense competition and intrigue as the Ottoman Empire vied for supremacy with European powers and regional rivals. Espionage, secret treaties, and clandestine expeditions were commonplace. Within this climate, a map such as this could have been a strategic asset, an intelligence document meant for the eyes of the highest officials alone. However, the story takes a darker turn with the map's disappearance from public view. Records indicate that by the early 17th century, the map was removed from official archives, its existence known only through scattered references and whispered legends among palace insiders. Was it suppressed because it revealed information deemed too dangerous or politically sensitive? Or did it contain knowledge that contradicted accepted official history, threatening the empire's narrative? Modern investigations into the map's whereabouts have yielded little. While fragments and copies purportedly inspired by it appear sporadically in private collections or obscure museums, the original remains elusive. Some claim it was destroyed to protect secrets. Others believe it was hidden away, perhaps beneath the walls of the Topkapi Palace or in forgotten Ottoman strongholds. Speculative theories have flourished around the map's meaning and fate. Fringe historians propose that the map may chart routes to unknown continents or secret passages to mythical lands, ideas that echo the broader fascination with lost civilizations and hidden knowledge during the Renaissance and early modern periods. Others suggest it could be linked to esoteric orders within the empire, such as the Janissaries or Sufi sects, who might have used such a map for mystical or symbolic purposes. The Forbidden Map also raises questions about how empires shape history. If such a document existed and was concealed, what does that say about the selective nature of recorded history? How many other truths remain buried, locked away by those in power? Could there be other maps or artifacts lost to time but waiting to be rediscovered? As we gaze upon this enigmatic cartographic relic, real yet obscured, historical yet speculative, we are invited to ponder not only the mysteries it holds, but the broader interplay of knowledge, secrecy, and power. What hidden chapters of the Ottoman Empire's past might still lie beneath layers of dust and silence? And what lessons might those forgotten stories teach us about the worlds that came before and the shadows they cast upon our present? The forbidden map of the Ottoman Empire remains an open question in the annals of history, a puzzle piece whose edges continue to challenge and intrigue, calling us to explore deeper into the unknown. Flowing gently from the secrets of the Ottoman Empire's forbidden map, we now turn to another artifact steeped in enigma, a medieval scroll written in a curious fusion of Latin and Arabic, a manuscript that has baffled scholars and linguists for centuries. Preserved in a dimly lit archive, its fragile vellum pages hold an inscrutable text whose purpose and meaning continue to elude even the most expert eyes. The scroll is an exquisite yet perplexing relic. Its surface is adorned with meticulous calligraphy that weaves together the elegant scripts of two great linguistic traditions. Latin letters intertwine with Arabic characters in a seamless dance, forming lines and paragraphs that hint at knowledge far beyond ordinary correspondence or record-keeping. Illuminated initials and marginalia embellish the manuscript, adding layers of artistic complexity to this already puzzling document. Historians date the scroll to the late 13th century, a period marked by intense cultural exchanges between Europe and the Islamic world, particularly in centers of learning such as Toledo and Sicily. At first glance, the scroll appears to be a product of this rich intercultural dialogue, perhaps a scientific treatise, a philosophical text, or a religious commentary designed to bridge two intellectual traditions. Yet, despite concerted efforts, no one has been able to decipher its content fully. The dual-language script itself presents a unique challenge. Latin and Arabic, while coexisting in medieval scholarly circles, differ significantly in syntax, grammar, and semantics. The scroll's text does not conform to known linguistic patterns of either language, suggesting it may be written in a code, a cipher, or even an unknown hybrid dialect. Attempts to apply cryptanalysis have uncovered some recurring symbols and phrases, but have failed to produce a coherent translation. What might have been the intent behind such a manuscript? Was it an encrypted scientific manuscript, concealing alchemical formulas or medical knowledge from prying eyes? Could it be a mystical or esoteric text, designed to impart secret wisdom accessible only to the initiated? The coexistence of two powerful languages might signify a deliberate effort to protect or obscure knowledge, creating a linguistic veil that guards a hidden message. Adding to the intrigue is the scroll's provenance. Traced back to a monastery known for its scholarly pursuits and controversial ties to secret orders, the scroll's origins hint at a network of intellectuals who perhaps sought to preserve forbidden knowledge during turbulent times. Some historians speculate that this manuscript was part of a larger collection, fragments of which have been lost or deliberately destroyed. Speculation runs deeper still. Some fringe theories propose that the scroll contains references to lost civilizations or ancient technologies, hidden within allegorical passages. Others suggest it might be a manual for esoteric rites, blending Christian and Islamic mysticism in a syncretic tradition that mainstream history has largely ignored or suppressed. Yet, amidst these theories, a cautious consensus acknowledges the limitations of current understanding. The manuscript's secrets remain locked away, a silent testament to the complexities of cross-cultural knowledge exchange and the human desire to conceal as much as to reveal. This enigmatic scroll invites us to reconsider the boundaries of language, knowledge, and secrecy. How many other artifacts lie buried in archives, unreadable not because of decay but because their codes remain unbroken? What histories, what ideas, what wisdoms lie hidden in plain sight, cloaked in scripts we have yet to comprehend? As we peer into this delicate fusion of Latin and Arabic, the scroll reminds us that history is often layered in mystery, and that the search for understanding is an ongoing journey, one that asks us to remain patient, curious, and open to the unknown. Flowing from the mystery of the medieval scroll written in an unreadable blend of Latin and Arabic, we now turn our attention northward to a remarkable and enigmatic artifact known as the Norwegian Stone Book, an ancient manuscript unlike any other, renowned for its pages carved from stone and said to be unbreakable. Preserved within a remote museum nestled amidst the fjords, this relic has long captured the fascination of historians, geologists, and cryptologists alike, standing as a silent sentinel to a forgotten chapter of human ingenuity and mystery. The stone book is a compact tome, its dimensions similar to a modern-day journal, but what sets it apart is its material. Each page is meticulously hewn from a slab of dark, dense rock, smooth to the touch, yet unyielding. Unlike fragile parchment or vellum, these stone pages defy damage, resistant to fire, water, and the erosive passage of time. The bindings, constructed of iron clasps and leather straps aged beyond comprehension, hold the heavy pages firmly together, suggesting that the creators intended this book to endure across millennia. What lies inscribed upon these unforgiving pages is as intriguing as the medium itself. Ancient runic characters and cryptic symbols are etched deeply into the stone surfaces, their sharp grooves filled with traces of pigment, hinting that the inscriptions were once vividly colored. Scholars have identified some of these runes as belonging to early Norse alphabets, but the arrangement and combination of symbols refuse to conform to any known linguistic or literary tradition. Instead, the script seems to follow an unknown logic, an undeciphered language, or perhaps a form of coded knowledge. Dating the Norwegian stone book has proved challenging. Radiocarbon analysis of the accompanying organic materials places it roughly between the 9th and 11th centuries, coinciding with the height of Viking exploration and cultural flowering. Yet, how and why such an artifact was created remains shrouded in uncertainty. Stone carving was not unusual in Norse culture for monuments and runestones, but the creation of an entire book of stone pages is unprecedented. What purpose could it serve? Was it a sacred text, a ledger of unknown knowledge, or a talisman meant to preserve secrets long after paper had decayed? The origins of the book are wrapped in local lore. It is said to have been discovered in a hidden cave, deep within the Norwegian mountains, a place avoided by villagers due to eerie legends of spirits guarding the ancient site. Some suggest the book was the work of a reclusive sect of rune carvers or mystics, guardians of esoteric wisdom who sought permanence beyond the frailty of organic materials. Others speculate it could be an artifact of a lost civilization, predating known Viking culture, pointing to an even older chapter of northern history. Efforts to decode the inscriptions have led to a variety of interpretations. Linguists and cryptographers have attempted to cross-reference the runes with known Nordic, Celtic, and even Mediterranean scripts. Some propose the text could be a ritual calendar or a guide to astronomical phenomena, aligned with the Norse tradition of celestial observation. Yet no definitive translation has emerged. The symbol's recurring patterns suggest intentional meaning, but without a key or bilingual reference, the stone book remains an uncrackable enigma. Speculative theories extend beyond the academic. Some fringe historians suggest the stone book could be a repository of ancient technology or forgotten magic. Ideas influenced perhaps by the mystique surrounding Viking seafaring and their reputed knowledge of the cosmos. Others muse that it might be a manual for a secret order, its pages coded to prevent outsiders from accessing knowledge considered too dangerous or sacred. Was the book meant to protect knowledge or to conceal it? Further complicating the mystery is the book's physical resilience. Unlike paper manuscripts vulnerable to fire, moisture, or handling, the stone book's pages show no signs of deterioration, even after centuries. This durability has led to hypotheses that the stone was treated or engineered in ways not yet understood by modern science. Could this artifact reveal early knowledge of materials science? Or is it a testament to ancient craftsmanship long since lost? The Norwegian stone book also prompts reflection on the nature of preservation and knowledge itself. In a world where so much history has been lost to decay and destruction, the very idea of a book designed to survive eternally challenges our assumptions about how civilizations pass on wisdom. What stories, what histories might it contain that could reshape our understanding of the past? As we contemplate the stone book's silent pages, carved in enduring stone but still unread, we are invited to ponder the deeper questions it poses. What truths lie locked within its indecipherable runes? What knowledge was deemed so vital, so precious, that it demanded immortality in stone? And what else, hidden in the shadows of history, awaits discovery, waiting to challenge our understanding of human ingenuity and mystery? The Norwegian stone book remains a profound puzzle, a monument to mystery that endures as firmly as the stone from which it is made, urging us to keep seeking, questioning, and marveling at the secrets time has yet to reveal. Flowing gently from the enigma of the Norwegian stone book, we now turn to another perplexing artifact that continues to defy explanation. The tomb inscription of a medieval knight, an inscription that has baffled historians, linguists, and archaeologists for centuries. Nestled within the quiet shadows of a centuries-old cathedral in a small European town lies the tomb of this mysterious knight. The stone sarcophagus is worn by time, yet it commands attention with its intricate carvings and an inscription unlike any other. The epitaph, chiseled deep into the cold granite, is composed of unfamiliar symbols and characters, some resembling known medieval scripts, others entirely alien to historical linguistics. The weathered text has resisted all attempts at translation, leaving a cloud of mystery hanging over the identity and story of the night it commemorates. Dating back to the late 12th century, this tomb was uncovered during restoration work in the mid-20th century. At first, the assumption was that it belonged to a local noble or a knight of the Crusades, but the inscription has since defied classification. Traditional medieval Latin, Old French, and Germanic runes, common in epitaphs of that era, are notably absent or scrambled in the text. Instead, the inscription appears to be a blend of cryptic glyphs arranged in a pattern that has no clear linguistic counterpart. What could have motivated such an enigmatic message carved into stone? Was it a secret code meant to guard the identity of the knight? A mystical invocation intended to protect his soul? Or perhaps a record of lost knowledge or esoteric wisdom? Some scholars speculate that the inscription could be a form of cipher, a medieval encryption designed to convey hidden messages to those initiated into a secret order. Theories surrounding the knight and his tomb abound. Some propose that he belonged to a clandestine brotherhood, perhaps linked to the legendary Knights Templar or other lesser-known medieval sects, who used coded language to shield their secrets from inquisitors and enemies. The iconography around the tomb hints at religious symbolism fused with arcane motifs, lending weight to ideas of mysticism and secrecy. Yet, skepticism remains. Could the inscription be an example of a scribe's error or an artistic experiment, a failed attempt at creating a novel script? Or perhaps the stonecarver's work was deliberately abstract, meant more as a symbolic decoration than literal text. The possibility of a forgery, though unlikely given the tomb's archaeological context, has also been raised by some. Digital technology and modern cryptanalysis have been applied to the inscription, with attempts to find patterns or correspondences to known ciphers and alphabets. While some recurring motifs have been identified, no definitive key has emerged. Intriguingly, a few researchers have suggested that the symbols might correspond to celestial constellations or alchemical symbols, pointing toward a coded cosmology embedded in stone. The knight himself remains an enigma. No historical records or chronicles match his name or deeds, which adds to the intrigue. Was he a forgotten figure, erased from history by time and circumstance? Or did he intentionally seek anonymity, choosing a coded epitaph as a final act of concealment? This inscription raises profound questions about the nature of memory, secrecy, and identity in the medieval world. How often might significant stories have been hidden behind cryptic symbols and indecipherable scripts, waiting for centuries to be uncovered, or perhaps lost forever? What knowledge or truths lie just beyond our grasp, encoded in stone but mute to modern eyes? As we stand before this silent monument, the mystery invites us to ponder the limits of understanding and the depths of history's hidden layers. What tales did the knight carry in life, and what was he hoping to protect or reveal in death? The inscription may remain undeciphered for now, but it continues to whisper through the ages, urging us to listen closely, to question boldly, and to never stop seeking the stories buried beneath the surface. Flowing from the mystery of the medieval knight's undeciphered tomb inscription, we now shift our focus to a peculiar and haunting artifact from 19th century Austria, a coffin sealed with golden nails. Nestled within the shadowed catacombs of a historic Austrian chapel, this coffin stands apart not only for its exquisite craftsmanship, but for the enigma that surrounds its occupant and the deliberate choice to seal it with precious metal. The coffin itself is a striking sight. Made of richly varnished dark wood, polished to a deep sheen that reflects candlelight flickering in the crypt, it rests upon an elevated stone slab. Its surface is carved with intricate floral and religious motifs typical of the Austro-Hungarian Empire's funerary art. But what captures immediate attention are the nails. Dozens of solid gold spikes driven meticulously along the coffin's edges, gleaming faintly in the dimness. These nails are no mere decoration. Gold, a metal of enduring value and spiritual significance, was deliberately chosen to seal this resting place, a practice almost unheard of in coffin construction, where iron or simple steel nails were customary. Historical records trace the coffin back to a noble family in Vienna during the late 1800s, a period marked by both opulence and cultural ferment. The coffin belonged to an individual whose identity remains a matter of speculation, as official documentation was lost during the upheavals of the 20th century. Some accounts suggest the occupant was a member of the aristocracy, perhaps someone of great wealth and influence, whose burial reflected both status and deep ritual significance. Yet, beyond the surface of luxury, questions abound. Why seal a coffin with gold? What fears or beliefs compelled such an unusual choice? The use of gold nails immediately invites reflection on both practical and symbolic motives. Practically, gold is resistant to corrosion, ensuring the coffin's closure would remain intact over time. Could this have been a safeguard against the coffin's opening, protecting the remains inside from disturbance? Or was it a statement, an assertion that the occupant's final rest deserved the utmost sanctity, sealed with the most precious metal available? Symbolically, gold has long been associated with divinity, immortality, and purity. In religious contexts, it signifies eternal light and incorruptibility. Could the golden nails represent a spiritual barrier, a sacred seal meant to protect the soul from malevolent forces? Or perhaps to guard against the dreaded phenomenon of the return of the dead, a superstition common in European folklore where restless spirits were believed to rise from improperly sealed graves. Intriguingly, some local legends surrounding the coffin speak of strange occurrences reported in the chapel where it resides. Whispered tales tell of eerie sounds at night, moans and faint tapping, as if the coffin itself were restless. Visitors have described a chilling presence, a sense that the occupant's spirit lingers beyond death. While such stories drift on the edge of folklore, they add layers of mystery to an already puzzling artifact. Scientific examination of the coffin has been limited due to its sacred setting and the reluctance of caretakers to disturb the tomb. However, some non-invasive studies have been conducted. X-ray imaging reveals a human skeleton inside, remarkably well preserved given the coffin's age. Yet the skeletal remains exhibit anomalies. Certain bones appear unusually dense, and some are coated with mineral deposits not typically found in natural decomposition. Could these features indicate deliberate preservation methods, or perhaps a rare pathological condition affecting the individual? Adding to the intrigue is the absence of any identifying markers, no nameplate, inscription, or heraldic emblem. This anonymity raises questions. Was the occupant deliberately anonymized, either by choice or decree? Could this coffin have held someone whose identity was meant to remain hidden from history? Theories have ranged from secret political figures to individuals shunned or feared by society, concealed within the veneer of nobility. One theory suggests the coffin might belong to a person associated with esoteric or occult practices, perhaps a member of a secret society that flourished in Central Europe during the 19th century. The golden nails might then serve not only as a physical seal but also as a mystical ward, protecting the outside world from what lies within. Could this coffin be a tomb for someone believed to possess knowledge or powers deemed too dangerous for common exposure? Alternatively, historians have proposed a more pragmatic explanation, that the golden nails were an extravagant funerary custom reserved for a very select few. an assertion of wealth and permanence in a time when social status was rigidly displayed, even in death. Yet this does not fully account for the secrecy surrounding the occupant's identity or the unusual skeletal features noted by researchers. The coffin also invites comparison to wider European burial customs of the era. Across Austria and neighboring regions, burial practices ranged widely, influenced by religion, local tradition, and class. While gold ornamentation was not unheard of, the extensive use of gold nails is without parallel in documented funerary art. What social or spiritual motivations could have driven this unique practice? Was this an isolated phenomenon or part of a forgotten ritual once common among certain elite circles? Explorations into archival records have yet to yield conclusive information. The family associated with the chapel's crypt vanished from public records during the World Wars, their estates confiscated or destroyed, leaving gaps in lineage and history. Without names or direct links, the coffin's occupant drifts into obscurity, an enigma sealed away just as securely as the golden nails fasten the lid. Speculation extends to the coffin's current environment. The chapel's crypt is itself steeped in history, housing numerous burials over centuries. It serves as a silent museum of mortality and legacy, where the living come to confront death's mysteries. Within this sacred space, the golden-nailed coffin stands apart, an object that seems to challenge our understanding of death, memory, and the lengths to which people go to preserve or protect. As we reflect on this haunting artifact, we confront the profound human impulse to control death and legacy, to erect barriers between the living and the dead. What compelled someone to fashion such an extraordinary seal? What fears or hopes does it embody, and what secrets remain locked within, waiting beneath the polished wood and golden spikes? The coffin sealed with golden nails remains a silent enigma, its story half told, its occupant nameless, its purpose open to endless interpretation. It beckons us to ponder the delicate boundary between history and myth, the known and the unknowable, inviting us to wonder what truths still lie hidden beneath layers of time and mystery. Flowing gently from the enigma of the 19th century Austrian coffin sealed with golden nails, our journey now takes us eastward, deep into the heart of medieval China, where a discovery challenges our understanding of time and technology in the 14th century. In a quiet, unassuming tomb nestled beneath the rolling hills of a rural province, archaeologists unearthed fragments that would puzzle historians and horologists alike. Intricate clock parts dating back to an era long before mechanical clocks were thought to be widely used in the region. The tomb itself is an elaborate testament to its occupant's status. A noble or scholar of the Yuan dynasty, the Mongol-led dynasty that ruled China from the late 13th to the mid-14th century. The burial site is marked by traditional features: a large stone chamber adorned with faded frescoes depicting scenes of nature, ancestors, and celestial bodies. Alongside the expected burial goods, ceramics, silks, and personal artifacts, were scattered the curious remains of tiny, precisely crafted gears, wheels, and other components unmistakably part of a mechanical clock. These fragments immediately set the tomb apart from typical Yuan dynasty burials. Mechanical clocks, while known in Europe from the 14th century onward, were considered rare and complex devices, the pinnacle of technological achievement. But in China, historical records credit Su Song, a polymath of the 11th century, with building an astronomical clock tower that used a sophisticated escapement mechanism and chain drive. Yet, the presence of loose clock parts, buried with a noble, suggests a private possession, perhaps a portable or smaller clock mechanism, a rarity that raises profound questions. What kind of timekeeping device did these components belong to? How advanced was the technology available to this individual? And why were these parts interred alongside the deceased rather than preserved or repaired? The discovery has sparked intense academic interest as well as controversy. On one hand, these artifacts support the notion that complex mechanical timepieces existed in China centuries before similar European inventions became widespread. Could this mean that Chinese innovations in horology have been undervalued or misunderstood? On the other hand, the fragmented state of the clock parts leaves many questions unanswered. Without a complete mechanism, scholars struggle to reconstruct how the clock functioned, what it measured, or its symbolic significance. The fragments include finely cut gears with delicate teeth, some made of brass, others of iron, each carefully shaped to fit together in a precise arrangement. Some pieces show evidence of wear, suggesting prolonged use, while others seem freshly crafted or possibly ceremonial. Among these is a small dial etched with characters that might correspond to hours or astrological signs, hinting at a device meant to track both time and celestial events. Archaeologists and horologists alike have debated the purpose and sophistication of the device. Was it an early attempt at personal timekeeping, a miniature astronomical clock used for ritual or scholarly purposes, or perhaps a symbolic object representing mastery over time and the cosmos, buried with the deceased to accompany them into the afterlife? Traditional historical narratives often depict medieval Chinese technology as advanced but distinct from European mechanical developments. Yet the presence of these clock parts complicates the picture, suggesting a parallel or perhaps even earlier mastery of precision mechanics. The Yuan dynasty, a time of cultural exchange and innovation under Mongol rule, provided fertile ground for the fusion of technologies and ideas from East and West. Could these clock parts represent a lost chapter in this technological history, an example of hybrid craftsmanship influenced by Silk Road contacts? But what of the tomb's occupant? Who was this individual worthy of such a rare and intricate possession? Some scholars propose the deceased was a learned court official or astronomer, someone deeply connected to the imperial bureaucracy and the science of timekeeping, which was crucial for agriculture, astrology, and ritual calendar management. Yet no inscriptions have definitively identified the tomb's owner, leaving their identity shrouded in mystery. This uncertainty invites speculation on the personal significance of the clock parts. Were they treasured tools, essential for the individual's work and status? Or were they talismanic, symbolic gifts intended to guide and protect the deceased in the journey beyond? Further deepening this mystery is the unusual context in which these parts were found. Unlike the well-preserved Susong clock tower or other monumental horological achievements, these components were scattered, unassembled, almost deliberately fragmented. Was the clock disassembled before burial to prevent its use by others, or was it damaged and discarded? Could this reflect a ritual practice or a symbolic gesture, breaking time itself as a metaphor for death's finality? Some fringe theories have emerged, proposing that the clock parts hint at ancient knowledge lost to history, advanced technologies far beyond their time, concealed deliberately by ruling powers or suppressed by later generations. Could this discovery be a glimpse of a hidden legacy, one that challenges the accepted timeline of mechanical invention? Others caution against jumping to conclusions. The state of the parts might simply reflect the ravages of time, damage during burial, or practical limitations of a single possession, rather than a breakthrough in horology. After all, the scarcity of such finds in other tombs might suggest this was an exception rather than the norm. Moreover, the symbolic importance of clocks and timekeeping in Chinese culture adds another layer of meaning. Time was not merely measured in hours and minutes, but intertwined with cosmology, philosophy, and governance. Could these parts, then, embody more than mechanical function? Might they represent an attempt to capture the essence of cosmic order, linking the earthly and celestial realms in a tangible form? As we consider the broader implications of this find, we are reminded of the fragile nature of historical knowledge. So much of the past is reconstructed from fragments, physical and textual, each offering tantalizing glimpses, yet resisting definitive interpretation. The clock parts from the 14th century Chinese tomb stand as a testament to this delicate balance between discovery and mystery. They challenge us to reconsider long-held assumptions about technological development, cultural exchange, and the human desire to master time. They invite us to imagine the life of an individual who treasured these tiny gears, who lived in a world where the passage of hours and the movement of stars held profound significance. Most importantly, they remind us that history is never fully written, and some secrets remain hidden beneath layers of earth, waiting to be uncovered and understood, or perhaps to forever elude explanation. What stories could these clock parts tell if we could only hear them? What knowledge have we lost in the shadows of time? And what might future discoveries reveal about the intricate dance of technology, culture, and mystery that shaped our shared past? The answers remain elusive, as timeless as the ticking of a clock we have yet to fully comprehend. Flowing from the echoes of lost timepieces and shattered clocks in ancient tombs, our journey now turns northwest into the quiet halls of a centuries-old Dutch monastery where a fragile relic has rested, unread and unexplained, since the dawn of the 17th century. Within the monastery's secluded archive, amid weathered tomes and yellowed parchments, lies a scroll that has baffled scholars for over 4 centuries. An unreadable manuscript sealed away since 1601, its contents remaining an enigma. The monastery itself, perched on the edge of a misty Dutch marshland, exudes the calm and solemnity of a place untouched by the passing centuries. Its stone walls, cloaked in ivy and moss, shelter a treasure trove of historical documents, chronicling everything from monastic life to regional politics, written in meticulous Latin, Dutch, and other known scripts. Yet the scroll stands apart. Rolled carefully in a lead-lined case, it is unlike any manuscript in the collection, not only for its unusual preservation but for its confounding script. The scroll's physical attributes are compelling. Crafted from a fine, translucent vellum, its surface shimmers faintly under careful light. The ink, dark, almost black, traces symbols and characters that defy categorization. At first glance, the script resembles an alphabet, but the characters bear no resemblance to Latin, Dutch, or any other known writing system of the period. Instead, the scroll is covered in flowing, intricate glyphs, swirling lines, and cryptic iconography that suggest both linguistic purpose and artistic expression. Since its arrival in the monastery's collection in 1601, the scroll has been studied intermittently by monks, linguists, and cryptographers, yet no one has been able to decipher its meaning. Early scholars hoped it was a forgotten dialect or an obscure cipher. Later, researchers speculated it might be a coded message, perhaps linked to secret knowledge or hidden teachings. Modern computational methods have analyzed the text for patterns and frequencies, but results remain inconclusive. The glyphs neither match any known language family nor reveal consistent internal logic typical of human writing. The provenance of the scroll adds to its mystique. Records indicate it was acquired from a traveling merchant who claimed it originated in the Mediterranean, possibly from a secretive sect or lost civilization. The scroll's journey before reaching the monastery is veiled in mystery. No documentation exists to trace its path or original purpose. Was it a religious text, a scientific manuscript, or something else entirely? The answers elude us. Intriguingly, the scroll is not merely textual. Interspersed among the glyphs are detailed drawings, celestial charts, botanical sketches of unknown plants, and schematic diagrams reminiscent of alchemical or astrological charts. These images suggest the scroll may have been intended as a compendium of knowledge, blending natural philosophy, spirituality, and perhaps coded science. Over the centuries, various theories have surfaced. Some have posited the scroll as a relic of an ancient esoteric order, safeguarding knowledge too dangerous or profound for common understanding. Others propose it could be a constructed language, designed for secrecy or ritual. Could it be an early experiment in linguistic invention, a precursor to later invented scripts? Or might it be a hoax, an elaborate artistic creation with no real meaning, designed to mystify and inspire? The mystery deepens when considering the cultural and historical context of early 17th century Europe. This was a time of intense religious conflict, burgeoning scientific inquiry, and secret societies. Alchemists, Rosicrucians, and others who used coded writings to protect their discoveries and beliefs. Could the scroll be linked to one of these groups, a vestige of a hidden intellectual tradition? Further complicating matters, some researchers have noted faint traces of a faintly metallic ink in parts of the scroll, possibly containing compounds unknown or rare for the period. This raises the question of whether the scroll incorporates advanced or experimental materials, adding a layer of physical mystery to its inscrutable script. Attempts to decode the scroll have employed every conceivable method: comparative linguistics, cryptanalysis, chemical analysis of inks and vellum, even artificial intelligence algorithms designed to detect patterns. Yet no definitive breakthrough has emerged. The scroll defies classification, hovering between language, art, and cipher. What might the scroll reveal if its secrets were unlocked? Could it alter our understanding of knowledge transmission in the early modern period? Might it reveal forgotten wisdom or hidden scientific insights lost to time? Or is its meaning forever lost, a silent testament to the limits of human understanding? The story of this unreadable scroll invites reflection on the nature of mystery itself. It challenges us to consider the boundaries between knowledge and ignorance, between history and legend. It reminds us that some artifacts resist simple explanation, preserving a tension between what we can uncover and what remains just out of reach. As the centuries pass, the scroll remains carefully preserved within the monastery's archives, a silent witness to a past that continues to guard its secrets. Who crafted this manuscript? For whom was it intended? And why was it hidden away, its words locked in silence for more than 400 years? In contemplating this ancient enigma, we are drawn into a wider meditation on human curiosity and the quest for meaning. The unreadable scroll is more than a puzzle. It is a symbol of the enduring allure of the unknown, an invitation to keep searching, questioning, and marveling at the mysteries that history holds, waiting patiently for those willing to seek them out.